season finale last week. Head coach Kenny Atkinson saying too early to say if Hunter will be able to play in the season opener tomorrow night against the Knicks. You can now find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas. Up next, time for the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima here on 92.3 The Fan.
Catch Afternoon Drive with Nick Wilson and Jonathan Peterlin live on YouTube each and every weekday from 2 to 7 p.m. The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima.
After 22, shot comes up, hand off to gets up the middle, the 25 to 30, a foot race to the 40, and the numbers to 50, far side 40, foot race with Winfield, far side 30, 20, 10, sideline 5, touchdown! The Lions have scored on a touchdown run by Jahmyr Gibbs, streaking for 78 yards.
Third down defensive holding call that wasn't called, and also still pretty damn confused about the double review. A lot of things in that game that a little questionable, but a lot of frustration at the end of that. And you might be displaced onto John Hussey in the moment, but I work my ass off and I put a lot into this game, so when things that I don't seem are deemed fair, I'm going to let somebody know, and that's good, bad, and different.
1-0 pitch. Swinging a fly ball. Left field and deep. Rosarena turns. Good! A Springer dinger. 4-3 Blue Jays in the bottom of the seventh.
This is Cleveland Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
Audio courtesy of Westwood Wood and Fox.
A Springer dinger.
That's fine.
It's
Sounds
amazing.
Good. Works. We get to Baker here in a second. Do you root for Toronto because of the Guardians connection? I waffle. I ask you.
I don't think it's that. I think it's just...
Well, there's a reason because of the Guardians connection. I'm going to do a swerve on you here in a second. You want to know the actual reason with the Guardians connection?
Yeah, I just think it's easy to root against the Dodgers.
I think... Well, yeah.
So I would have rooted for anybody.
I meant like even last night, like against the Seattle Mariners.
I was rooting for the Mariners because of the Guardians connection.
Okay.
They had Josh Naylor. I liked him better.
Well, the breaking up of double plays and Shane Bieber getting mad at him over it was just exquisite. Yeah. He's still the most entertaining player in baseball. I don't care. So this is I'm in a bit of a conundrum here because in their organization, it's not just Shane Bieber. Like if you were going player for player, things like that, whatever. But when you look at Toronto, they're playing the Dodgers. Now, Toronto spent more money too. Like they're not spending Dodgers money, but they're going to be spending. They've spent considerably more than what they've spent in the past, but they've always spent more than where we spend here. And this is the issue: is you have Mark Shapiro, who's their team president, and you have Ross Atkins, who's their general manager, and they both used to be with the Cleveland Guardians. Well, actually, I think they were with the Indians back then, but, the same organization, right? Do you pull for Toronto so you can use them as an example of what Guardians baseball men can do if you give them money? Do you do that? Like I said, like you and I bickered about this during the season, and I've always said, hey, if you gave Chernoff and Antonetti $250 million, they'd spend $250 million wisely. Would this be an example of giving somebody, $200 million? I don't know what their payroll is, but more money than the Guardians, and they spend that money wisely. You get what I'm saying here? Does that make sense? So you can use this as an argument against Paul Dolan if you wanted to. Is that something that plays in your head at all?
It hadn't.
Not you, really, but you get what I'm saying.
It hadn't, honestly. And, they've kept... Obviously, Shapiro's been there this whole time. My thought
He's been there for a while now.
Yeah, my thought always was if, say the Haslams owned the Guardians, they would have turned over the organization a bunch of times.
Yeah, probably.
Because they would have spared no expense. They would have spent all the money, and the minute it didn't go well... All right, we're going through a change at the top. So you'd get the worst parts of the Haslams too in the past. Well, if they just took over the team,
you'd get the new ownership problems that you have, which happens with a lot of teams. Where you just look at our example where you run from lily pad to lily pad in terms of what type of coach to have, what type of general manager to have. The NFL sets you up. Of course, they set you up wrongly, but other way, whatever. That type of thing. I think that would probably happen in baseball. However, at some point, you try to iron it out and you get it figured out. Probably Paul Dolan would be better with the Guardians than he is with the Browns, but whatever. I'm just wondering, does anybody think about that? You don't think about that. Do you think about that? Like, does this compute at all? I think people just want the Dodgers to lose because they're the evil empire that's spending a bunch of money. To me, I think the Dodgers are probably the example of what baseball has become. And I think that, okay, if they win some more, maybe there's some changes that need to be made. Because I don't know if the Dodgers are the problem with baseball. I think it's the ones at the bottom that might be the problem with baseball. Because for the Guardians, there's one Guardians that are frugal. They get the best out of their players. They make the postseason just about every year. And then there's the Pirates. And then there's the Marlins. And then there's the White Sox, et cetera, et cetera. Like, there are just teams that just exist. And so for the Guardians, it's almost as if they prop up those other teams. But I think those other teams actually make the Guardians look far worse. Now, in terms of baseball, in terms of insider with baseball stuff.
What has their payroll been over the years? Because this year it's like
the Blue Jays,
$240 million.
Well, it's ballooned a little bit
because if you go back again since Jose's first real year, we date everything back to like 2015, 2016. I mean, we've got way more wins. We've got way more playoff wins in Toronto. Mm-hmm. So this year, you're acting like, you're getting the best of both worlds. You're getting their savvy, and you're getting like their Guardians savvy, and you're getting their money. But, over the years, you'd rather be the Guardians than the Blue Jays.
Yeah, I think you would. But I think that what people are thinking is, or what you could think, not what people are thinking. I'm asking a question. But like, if they go and they win the World Series over the Dodgers, over like the evil empire, if they go and they beat the Dodgers, then I don't think the Dodgers are actually evil. They just spent a lot of money. I would say differently about some other organizations. But say they beat Los Angeles, then could I draw a conclusion and go, well, Shapiro and Ross Atkins are able to do it. If you gave Chris Antonetti more, if you gave Mark Chernoff more, could we have the same results? Because for a Blue Jays fan, it hasn't been since 1948. I don't know if I'm talking to any Blue Jays fans. It hasn't been since 1948, but it's been since 93. That was a long time. I was a small child in 1993. Joe Carter hit the walk-off home run, former Indian. Boy, there's a lot of connections there when you think about it. Either way, like I just, if that happens, I would bet don't be surprised because they've been kind of down the line. I think it got to a point this year. Like, I listened to Tom Hamilton talk about it. It's like, hey, they got to win this year. These guys might be gone. Like, they were thinking about firing Shapiro and Atkins. Mm-hmm. So there's that to it as well, where it's like, hey, like, they were right there close to the bandsaw. Now they're going to the World Series. Does anybody see it in a different light? Like, I'm willing to bet, like, say Toronto wins the World Series.
And they are massive underdogs, by the way.
I'm willing to bet that we will get calls on, you spend more, this is what you get. You've had good baseball people before. Now, they are massive underdogs. So you could just say, this is what's wrong with baseball. Even a team that spends considerably more than what they've spent before still can't match the Dodgers, still get beat by the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing is, the Dodgers have the savvy. Their scouting is incredible, and their team that they have put together, and they've got a bunch of I was going to say likable guys, and then you'll say, well, what about Ohtani? And I'm like, well, Ohtani was likable until the scandal, and even then, I still think he has a performance like he had the other day, and that made him likable
It's
again.
hard not to like guys who have that type of performance. I think for a Guardians fan, you go, what the hell's the difference? As Owen said, why is my pitcher not allowed to pitch and he's allowed to play? And I go, well, one guy is a major international star, and the other guy is just another closer and another starting pitcher, and that's it in Major League Baseball.
Well, we still don't even know what our guy's accused of.
True.
In their case, they accused the interpreter of doing all that.
So is Luis Ortiz, and could they end up being guilty? Could he and Amanda Clase be guilty of not just finding a fall guy in so many ways?
Yeah,
allegedly.
It's a little different, right, allegedly. On the alleged things, right? One is a specific pitch. Ohtani's was the outcome of a game, which you could just say, well, Ohtani had no individual effect on the outcome of a game.
You certainly could. Yes. But there are little differences there where, again, gambling is frowned upon by players or by Major League Baseball with players, obviously with one very specific, famous reason. And Shohei Ohtani just seems to, no big deal, no big deal. We're coming after everyone else's ass, don't you? But Shohei Ohtani, anything to do it. Nah, you ain't got to worry. I think that's rubbed some people the wrong way. But you can't deny the results. I mean, this is already greatest of all time territory here. I mean, the game is different. The athletes are different. They're better. And, I mean, the performance, I ended up seeing the performance the other night on Friday. Thank God. I would not. I'm telling you, I would not have seen it if I wasn't waiting to do a TV show. I saw it. Thankful I did.
That's what, out of spite, I will not see the greatest player to play because of spite. Not going to watch.
Spite's a great reason.
Yeah.
I love spite.
Still mad.
Well, when's the game's on?
Who cares?
Yeah, it's got to be.
It could be at 5 a.m.
It's got to be pretty convenient for me. I'll admit that to you. Baker last night. Let me get that. Can we get the shorter clip? Baker, I'm already getting complaints about Baker complaining about the...
Salty Baker's amazing.
The referees last night. Go ahead, hit it.
A lot of things in that game that a little questionable, but a lot of frustration at the end of that. I work my ass off, and I put a lot into this game, so when things that I don't seem are deemed fair, I'm going to let somebody know, and that's good, bad, and different.
Gotta tell you, I totally agree with the whole double replay thing. I was like, what the hell is that? What are we doing here?
Well, I didn't understand why that wasn't the initial review. Like, the initial review should have been the spot. We're talking about the same play, right?
Yes.
Yes. And I didn't know. I thought he was short, but I didn't think there was overwhelming evidence to support overturning it on what was a pretty big play. You know, this was a fun game to watch because it was Ken Baker again against all odds with... You know, Evans was gone. In the rushing attack, Irving was gone. Detroit had their injuries, too, in the secondary. They basically, their entire secondary was out. So it was fun to watch him just go bombs away because he was down early and throughout the entire game. So you're like, if he does this again, the MVP stuff, he goes on the road, comes from behind against Detroit, and he was airing it out so much that the game was actually... surprisingly really entertaining despite Baker being way off. I mean, he was, you could tell, I think the officials got to him. I think the pass rush, even though it wasn't getting home all the time, he was sacked four times, but he got out of so many of them.
He's an emotional guy.
Yeah.
And it's hard for him to clear the mechanism. He gets very emotional, good, bad, ugly, whatever.
He was playing annoyed, and there was a lot of bad Baker yesterday, which you have not seen this year. This year, it's all been amazing Baker.
I think that, I know that the afternoon show talked about it last week, where it's like, do you root for or against Baker? Because he's been on a heater recently. He's an MVP candidate. Now, maybe Patrick Mahomes took that over, and we can talk a little bit more about that in the neutral zone with Rat Boy and the Hog at 8:45 this morning. Either way, I go very case by case when it comes to Baker. I don't think I'm ever going to root for Baker, okay? But I don't have a lot of hate. And if I watch him against the Lions, I'm sorry. I just like the Lions more. I like Dan Campbell. I think the Lions are fun. I like the players they have on their team. I just like their whole situation more than I like the Buccaneers. And so when they play the Lions, I'm going to root for them. When they play Philly, I'm going to root for Philly. I like Philly. I like the vibe. I like the toughness. I like Philly. I'm going to root for Philly in that case. Like, it's hard for me to watch a game and just remain neutral. I'm an emotional guy. So I'm going to find a storyline where I'm like, well, I like this more. And so I just like it more. If I didn't have the history as a Browns fan with Baker in Cleveland, maybe I would want Baker to do better. That's fully on admitted. I can point out the own foibles there or the own history there. But when it comes up to like him playing the Steelers, I want him to win. When it comes to him playing the Bengals or the Ravens, I would want him to win. When it comes to him playing a lot of teams that I find annoying, I would want him to win. I'd want him to beat the Cardinals. I'd want him to beat the Dolphins. I'd want him to beat the Jaguars. I can name a bunch of teams that I'd rather Baker with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers go out and win.
I loved last night's sequence of events because Baker playing from behind and having to chuck the football down the field in a league where I'm not seeing that. I am not seeing with the too high safety thing. You are not seeing guys chuck the ball down the field.
No.
And Baker does all the time. He is rolling out, dodging guys that are about to bring him down, and then hurling that football down the field. It is awesome to watch. Now, last night he was errant, a lot of high throws. I don't know what was going on. He played angry, and it just wasn't good Baker yesterday. And you could tell in the post game that he was annoyed. He also fell to fourth in the MVP odds. It's Mahomes, Josh Allen, Drake May, number 3, who the Browns are going to battle against on Sunday on the road.
That later on, I'll tell you that right now. But no, when you look at some of the protection issues that they have, because they have a pretty good defensive line with Detroit, and they certainly have Hutchinson and everything. But when you have, you brought up the 2 high safety stuff. That's what I think is remarkable about the Buccaneers, is that they go and they get him talent to throw to. They know that every guy's going to need talent. He certainly needs talent. He's a good quarterback, okay? When you take away Mike Evans, it makes it easier to cover everybody else because Mike Evans gets banged up. So now it makes it a little bit easier to get everybody else. And if they have protection issues and you're trying to go deep because he has a strong arm, well, yeah, you need more time. And if you don't have more time to throw and you are 6 feet tall, don't go crazy. I know how tall our quarterback is right now. Guys get shorter as they move away from you. It's harder to see.
Does Baker tower over Dylan Gabriel? By the way, Kenny, you're
one of the tallest quarterbacks to come out of Oklahoma in the last decade.
That's a good one. Offensive Rookie of the Year odds. Quinshon Judkins is 4th at plus 1,200.
Who's ahead of him?
Tyler Warren, Egbuka, and number 1 right now, minus 110. Huge favorite, Jackson Dart.
Yeah, those are deserved. Those are deserved. I'll give him that.
Judkins is going to get every opportunity.
He's moving up.
Wait till the touchdowns start rolling up.
He's moving up. That's very nice. 216-474-0092. All right, speaking of quarterbacks, I got something on Dylan Gabriel later because Lima worked me into the shoot-all shoots. Problem is, I couldn't do anything because it was about 10:01 yesterday morning. We'll get to that. But coming up next, won't somebody please think of the children? It's Ken Carman, Anthony Lima. Take us with you to work on the free Odyssey app.
Anthony Lima for Floors with a Z. And have you been thinking?
Toyota.com.
For generations, Classic Toyota has helped you find the perfect car. The one that gets you to the big game. The one that brings your firstborn home. The one that's part of every adventure. A Toyota from Classic isn't just a car, it's a member of the family. You can always trust Classic Toyota. Stop in today or get to driveclassictoyota.com.
Headline sports news every 20 minutes from the University Hospital's sports desk. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Lima got me real mad, and there wasn't a damn thing I could do about it because it was after the show. More on that coming up at 6:43. I'm going to wait. I'm going to percolate, and I'm going to go after you here at 6:43. However, last week, wide receiver Jameer Brown, he plays for Huber Heights Wayne. He's one of the top recruits in the country. He's already committed to go to Ohio State. He sued the OHSAA.
Is he the next stud, absolute stud for Ohio State?
I would imagine it's become a factory there. Boy, during the podcast, can we just bring up another thing? Write this down for the podcast, 10:15 Eastern, 92.3 The Fan Extra on the free Odyssey app. I got a very strong opinion about Ohio State football and how you guys are in the golden era right now, and you should enjoy every single second of it. Not that you aren't, but man, I just look at
we have
some
better
of the
wide receivers every year than the Browns do.
It's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You put Jeremiah Smith on the Browns right now, he'd have more yards than Jerry Jeudy.
100%. That's not even debatable, right?
I'm saying that with a straight face.
How old is he?
Straight face. 21, 19, I don't know. Is he 21? Can he legally drink?
No, I don't think so.
Lord Almighty.
He's a true sophomore.
What a specimen. So Jameer Brown sues the OHSAA. Judge looks at it yesterday. They okayed NIL deals temporarily for high school athletes in the state of Ohio. Now, the reason I want to talk about this last week, and then, Joe Flacco beat up the Pittsburgh Steelers, and there was no chance we were doing that on Friday. So I wanted to bring it up with you here because, hey, you just beat the Dolphins. That's fantastic, and we got a lot of things to go over, but it's important. Because 2 or 3 years ago, we talked about this, you and I bristled at the notion. I was nervous because I get nervous about, I got to be careful how I say this. We have great sponsors here. Okay? But you and I both know over 14 years here at this station, we've met some really, really good people, some really, really good local businessmen, and then we've had to take meetings with some jokers. And my fear was like, hey, some of these jokers may get their hooks in some young guys, and then all of a sudden you got problems here where, you're calling up some wide receiver at Moeller High School at 2 a.m. because and you think you own everything that he has to do now, and he has to come and wash your car because he had a bad game. Like, there are idiots out there who really think that they do that, and it's like, I jump, you say how high. You're my helper, and that's how it works. Like, there are weirdos out there. However, I didn't realize I did realize at that time it was early. Over the time, we were one of 6 states that aren't doing NIL anymore. I'm not hearing that many. There are horror stories out there. I'm not hearing that many horror stories out there. And also, like, for a guy like Jameer Brown, he says he has a $100,000 deal that he couldn't take. There was a couple other things that he couldn't take. I do think that this is a way where I've seen some of the craziness and some of the hand-wringing here over the last 24 hours with the Think of the Children stuff. I think it's a bit overblown. I don't know if Ken Carman RV is going to just give a whole bunch of thousands of dollars to bring kids in to go play at Streetsboro High School, okay? But I think Ken Carman RV, who owns RV dealerships all across the Midwest, and if Ken Carman was a big, you know what? Anthony Lima RV, because Anthony actually did go to Ohio State. Anthony's a big booster for Ohio State football, and he's got RV dealerships all across the Midwest, and he wants to make sure Jameer Brown is going to be a Buckeye. He's going to give Jameer Brown money in high school to make sure that he's going to be a Buckeye when he goes to college and that there's going to be no decommitments whatsoever, and we could go ahead and put him up on a billboard. Like, that to me is what this means, unless I'm not seeing some seedy underbelly that I've been looking for 3 years.
Yeah, I don't know. My mind didn't go to the worst. Maybe it would have, like, years ago.
Mine did.
It didn't, because I was wondering how they were going to prevent kids from making money when they're already making money on YouTube and they're already able to do their social media influencing in other capacity. Like, what, you can't stop some kid for making money on gaming or whatever, right? So if that's happening already, how are you going to stop this? And I do question, like, what really is the market in this state? How, like, okay, LeBron James would have made money. Maurice Claret would have made money. But how many guys, maybe some wrestlers, right? Some of the amazing wrestlers that get pumped out of the factories like St. Ed's or wherever. Okay, maybe they would have some deals with, equipment and whatever. But how much real money is there?
Well, that's probably the thing.
We have lost some kids to academies. I think like the best girls basketball player in the state or in the country, she's playing at an academy and she's from Northeast Ohio. But like, how many are there really that would be impacted?
Well, I was just looking. Chris Henry Jr. started down in Cincinnati. He's at Mater Dei now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just an example of a guy, and I don't know why he went there. Obviously he's got family things going on and all that. Father's no longer alive and all that. So I don't know all that background. I was looking him up when we were talking about the number one recruits, and I remember him. He had an offer before he was even in high school, and he's had offers from all the big schools, and he's still in high school now. I do agree. I bet there is some of that. Hey, come play at this school over that school if we've got open enrollment and all those things. But
Mater Dei is in California,
yes,
right?
Correct.
So you can take advantage of NIL, and so that's where I think that they're looking at going. I'd rather see Chris Henry play. Where would he be at? Would he be at St. X, or where would he be? Either way, I'd rather see him play in the state of Ohio than I would California. I'm not going to see him in California.
He was in West Clermont, and then he went to Withrow.
Okay, so I'd still rather see him here than out in because I'm not going to see. I do not watch these high school football games. No offense, I don't watch these the
ESPN
high school
televised
showcases. Yeah, I care about Ohio high school football. I really am not a big follower of any of the other ones.
You never know when they aren't actual high schools anymore.
Well, when they just they play in these places and they just have the cardboard signs for advertisers along the sideline and stuff. I'm like, this looks more like a 7-on-7 to me. I'm not interested in it. If you want to throw
I've watched
McKinley Maslin up on Spectrum, I'm gonna sit there. I'm gonna watch McKinley Maslin on Spectrum.
Honestly,
I'll watch a lot of local places.
I wonder if like the basketball would be impacted more because of the national factories that there are with high school basketball, because there's more of an industry there
now
with the basketball players.
What's the downturn of it? Because like Zach was critical of it, Jackson, and
what about the children?
That type of thing. And when Zach's saying it, it gives me pause because I don't want to jump right into it, but I'm going, how many could really take advantage? Like you brought up wrestling before the show. Yeah, a kid gets his shoes taken care of and his equipment taken care of and maybe his travel expenses and some of the training taken care of. But is this just hundreds of kids doing it and we're taking them to other parts of the country?
I only bring it up because there are guys, and I realize that it's such a smaller scale in the grand scheme of the sports, right? But there are high school kids that make the Olympic team or make the world teams, right? And there's one that was from Perrysburg. He's a freshman now at Penn State, but there's a kid in Pennsylvania named Bo Bassett, and if you know anything about him, he is all over a company named Rudis, which is out of Marysville. He is like one of their main. They've done a good job of getting the adults that are a part of it too, but he is all over their advertising and things like that, and he can do that because he lives in Pennsylvania, and I've known about that kid for 7 or 8 years, and there's no reason that I should know about him. He was in middle school whenever I first heard of him.
And this is Twitter reactions brought to you by social media reactions brought to you by Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store. Bob says the issue is going to be powerhouse private/Catholic schools pulling kids away from public schools. Well, that's been an issue my entire life.
But I think
it's
bigger
also
issue
ed choice
is how many
kind of a reality today.
And I know that there's open enrollment and that kind of happens in open enrollment schools too, but how many guys are from that? They're in their hometown and they end up not being the starting wide receiver because the open enrollment school, somebody went and paid to get that kid to come drive 45 minutes or an hour to go to that school.
I mean, my whole life, Ignatius has been pulling from 7 counties, eds. Like, come on, this is nothing new.
We did the whole public-private argument, and I know Baskin loved to have it every year when it came to the high school football players. It's like they've already kind of tried to curtail that. I mean, D1, you have to have an asinine amount of boys to be D1, and it's basically private schools and then like Menor and Glen Oak and a couple of other places that are very, very, very large communities, and then that's it. So like they've already kind of solved that, and that where, I mean, honestly, it's become to the point where I hate to turn it into just high school football hour here, but it's kind of become to the point where D2, D3 are the and lower are the more fun divisions to talk about. And so
D2's been the one that is like, has been there's somebody every year that, there's 6 teams and each region has 2 teams and they're battling it out.
Now what they've done with the number of boys, I just don't know if that's really going to change.
The whole what about the children? These are supposed to be academic, these high schools and the schools that they go to is supposed to be about making sure to matriculate them on and have them, do great things in life. It's like, well, I think we are pretty good at spotting who's going to be playing, who's going to be going to college to do this stuff. And it's just in society today where everything is about making more money. Every business is about making more money. Every politician is about making more money. It's real hard to sit there and say, but these kids who do have a market can't make more money. It's like, it's really tough. It's really tough when all we care about is money in every facet of our life to now say who can't make money.
I'm also from Stark County, and a version of this has been going on for well before I was born. And even before my father was born. So if the kids want to get a piece of kids want to get a little taste, they want to wet their beak on it, fine, so be it. But usually I do think this is going to turn into situations where, Ken Carman so-and-so has a business and he wants to make sure some kid stays and goes to Akron because I want him to play basketball for Akron. I think that's where that turns into. Ohio State ends up keeping guys to play here in the state, keep them close, and the boosters make sure, like, hey, there's no decommitting here anymore. You're going to stay here. There's money here. Name, image, likeness, da-da-da-da-da. We're not going to have there's no respect my decision posts on social media anymore. I think that's what they're looking for.
I know we got to go, but it's just funny. It's like, oh, what happens if we just give this inner city kid all this money? What's he going to do with the money? How irresponsible. It's like, why don't we do that with the kids in the affluent suburbs and the rich kids? Like, why aren't we worried about what they're going to do with all their money that they're given? It's like, at least these kids are earning it. They're actually doing something to earn the money.
I had a buddy growing up.
They didn't just win the lucky family lottery.
My buddy spent $300 of his first communion money on Pogs. At Dairy Mart down the road. Dead ass serious.
And where was the government to step in and save that kid from himself?
His dad was plenty pissed.
You're tired of third baseman being born on third base.
Right, exactly.
Coming up at 7:45, we go to About Last Night, where Josh Naylor is still one of my favorite players ever, and I think that's of all sports, and he proved it again last night. John Greco going to join us at 8, and I got mad at Lima as I think I've ever have yesterday. My problem is that it was after the show. As the day went, I grew angrier and angrier with Tone because he forced me to start to say things I didn't want to say. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima on the Fan.
Anthony Lima 4.
Cabinet is the manufacturer. ChoiceCabinet.com.
Miss one day and you miss a lot. We are the radio home of the Cleveland Browns.
Here we go, Brownies! Here we go!
92.3 The Fan.
I'm just thankful that coach, even though like we were talking about, had negative runs, he still was like, no, this is the plan we're gonna have. Unwaveringly, we're gonna relentlessly just run the ball, and I love it. I feel like that's the formula of success for this team. We have a great defense, our special teams, great punter, great. We had a couple big plays yesterday where we got the ball out. I mean, it's just, if we can play like that every week now, I don't think we're going to get that many turnovers. And now that there was a bit of luck to that, but it was just like, that's how our team should have been playing from the beginning. And, we had a close, couple close games, but still, that was the win that, I felt that's the way we should have been playing all year.
Wyatt Teller, oh, hell yeah. After the Browns' 31-6 win over the Miami Dolphins, they play coming up on Sunday against the New England Patriots. You're home for Cleveland Browns football. 92.3 The Fan. We're your flagship home for Cleveland Browns football. I'm like, had too much coffee. I haven't had enough. It's a weird moment here. Your flagship home for Cleveland Browns football. 92.3 The Fan. I got as mad as you as I've ever had yesterday. The problem is it did no good. It was about 10:05 in the morning when I got mad. I wasn't showing it. I wasn't mad at you at the moment. I was mad at something that happened earlier in the show. Because, like, if you had not got me so worked into a shoot, which you did, if you had not got me worked into it, it wouldn't have done what it ended up doing. Because I had happened to have said that, hey, 4 minutes left, it wouldn't have been such a bad thing. I wouldn't have complained. I wouldn't have rolled my eyes. Because I think I got roped into it because there were fans at the stadium chanting for Shedeur. Hold on. This ain't about him, though. Don't go with me on this. There were fans chanting for him. And I go, 4 minutes left. You're up 31-6. You want him to go in there and hand off the football, fine. And an argument ensued. And then at the end of the argument, you go, yeah, well, why don't he just finish off his first game with a win and let him take the knee and everything? I go, you know what? That's a great point. Lima wins. And I was more than willing to concede it to you. And then yesterday, online happened, and here it went. You guys fitting it. You lead the show with Shedeur. You fit in Shedeur. I go, I didn't lead the show with Shedeur. I led the show with Super Bowl Super Browns. That's what we led the show with. Guys and your Shedeur.
It came up in casual conversation. Yeah. Like, we didn't have it on a sheet to talk about Shedeur Sanders at all. It just came up like, hey, should he have played?
It was totally innocuous. It totally was innocuous. And it became, but I got mad at you because I think you knew that you were going to get me worked up. And you did. And you and Owen participated in it to get me worked up. And you both did. And I got worked up to where I'm starting to make arguments. And at the time, I meant it. And I think I still would. But all you had to say was, well, why can't he finish off his first win as a quarterback of the NFL? And I've been like, you know what? You're right. Why wouldn't he? If Shedeur comes in and plays and Shedeur wins, yeah, let him take the knee. What's the big deal with that? Why can't Dylan Gabriel just hand it off? Like, you didn't say that. Why didn't you say that earlier? We wouldn't have had people cussing each other out the entire afternoon yesterday. I wish you would have just said that. Did you think that, or did it come to you later?
No, yeah, it just kind of came to me.
The whole letting him finish off the game?
Yeah. Well,
all right, then I can't be mad at you. Now I got mad at you. Now I'm mad because I got mad at you. I'm sorry.
It was just funny. I guess if I were at the game, right? If I were at the game and I sat through the rain and you're looking for some more entertainment, just one little, because the offense only had 55 yards, I think, in the second half. So it wasn't
like they didn't need much.
Yeah, right. They didn't need to. There was the perfect game plan to manage a football game where you have the lead, where you don't want to make any mistakes, you don't want to do anything stupid, you're playing all these young guys.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to do that. So they managed it perfectly. But if I were at the game and I was getting drenched and I was drinking and, like, you're looking for some entertainment, like, yeah, all right, let's get another rookie in there. Like, I understand that. At home, where I wasn't getting rained on, where you couldn't even really tell it was raining by watching it on TV. No. In fact, you got to be honest. I mean, how many people went over to Red Zone?
What I'm agitated with mostly is that, I think people have had these fights for these last few weeks about these guys, about Dylan Gabriel, about his backup quarterback right now. And I think we've taken this and we've totally bastardized the entire argument. Like, you can't Now, there's nothing good or bad you could say about either one. There's nothing good or bad you could say about Dillon Gabriel. If I say Dillon Gabriel performed like a backup quarterback, apparently that's a high insult to a considerable amount of fans out there. And I go, what on earth tells you that he's going to be a franchise quarterback? What on earth tells you that that guy's going to be a guy that you put up on the side of the stadium, whether it be in this one or the new one, for years to come? There's nothing that tells you that, guys. And by that stretch, I haven't got a chance to see anything, and it's not that he deserves to right now over it. I don't see anything out of his backup that would tell me I would put him on the side of a stadium, either here or in the new one coming up. So I don't have that. When I look at what Dillon Gabriel did, like I heard Jonathan and Nick, and they were going after each other for a segment yesterday about it. And I couldn't help but agree with Jonathan over Nick, where, hey, I know there were interceptable balls. They didn't get picked off. But I also know that I judge, and this is where I think the difference is, I'm judging Dillon Gabriel by what I think his future is. It's not franchise. He wasn't taken in the first round. He was taken in the third round. And so when I see his future exactly for what it is. In a role of a backup where QB wins is a stat. Did you win the game? Yeah. Did you win the game knowing that another guy's going to come in and hopefully start again for your football team? You hope so. Like, that's what it matters to me with backup QBs. Like Mac Jones, I keep using him as an example, and there's a very specific reason why, and we'll talk about that another day long from now. Mac Jones winning the football game with the San Francisco 49ers is a stat. Because you're doing what? You're keeping the seat warm for Brock Purdy. Mm-hmm. Brock Purdy, now there's other arguments that we have to have, because he's supposed to be a franchise quarterback. Jared Goff, whoever his backup ends up being, that guy's just QB wins, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is not a franchise quarterback, and that's okay. But I'm trying to be respectful, saying that I've never seen him as a franchise quarterback. So why is that all of a sudden some sort of crazy insult to look at what a quarterback has done and say, hey, it ain't been that great. It's been what a backup quarterback does, and that's what I foresee for the guy.
Well, and people have got to stop throwing out there that he has 0 interceptions as if he's playing mistake-free.
He's not playing mistake-free.
He's not playing mistake-free. You know who else has 0 interceptions? Justin Fields this year has 0 interceptions. Do you know why guys like Justin Fields and Dillon Gabriel have 0 interceptions? They've either gotten lucky or their quarterbacks trust them their coaches trust them so little that they're not allowing them to unleash balls the way that like Baker Mayfield was unleashing balls last night down the field.
And to say that, well, that's some sort of crazy disrespect. And the names that he's been compared to, these once-in-a-generation names, which the like reason who? They're I've seen Tom Brady and his name in the same tweet at me. I've heard his name in the same call on the afternoon show. They didn't say it, but I've heard it in the same call. Like, some of the stuff is insane. Like, I think we're just making things up. And as a guy who, you and I argue with each other every day, I'm not just going to make things up to try to do the argument. I'm not going to say what I don't think the truth is. The truth of the matter is until I get any further evidence, and I haven't so far, he's a backup quarterback. And that's his future. That's not a bad future. 10 years in the league, 8 years in the league, a pension.
Yeah, it's if he can hang around. There's a bunch of guys I thought could be backup quarterbacks that get bounced from the league in 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, that's not a bad situation. There's been plenty of guys taken in his round and after who have ended up being nothing in the league. I think he can be a decent backup quarterback, probably for the Browns and then for a couple of other teams before it's all said and done. I think that's only fair. But let me ask you this. He won the game. Don't answer it yet, okay? How much time did the win buy Dillon Gabriel yesterday? Because it wasn't that great on Sunday. We got to be honest. The run game was there for the most part. The defense came through big time. How much time did the win by Dillon Gabriel on Sunday? 216-474-0092. Tone, I want you to answer that in 5 on the Fan. Northeast Factory Direct in
that you can really grade the team, how they responded to a really rough week last week. And for that, we do say a genuine kudos.
The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Back in the Fan. Coming up at 8:20, 8 o'clock this morning, John Greco going to join us on the show. We go into the neutral zone with Rat Boy and the Hog at 8:45. Like, why does it have to nearly come to blows? Because we're probably looking at social media way too much. And everybody's in a knockdown. The Browns won on Sunday. It's a knockdown drag-out right now between the guy who started and the backup. And I felt like I accidentally fanned the flames.
See, I haven't seen this.
I didn't mean to do it, and I apologize. I fanned the flames yesterday. I'm sorry.
Drag out?
Oh, I posted Nick and Jonathan's video. Mm-hmm. I think I'm just going to say what it is, man. I posted Nick and Jonathan's video. I was like, I love confrontations. I also happen to agree with Jonathan on this one. I got people calling Jonathan a bitch in my mentions. Like, whoa. Over Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, guys? Come on, man.
You made me do this, you bitch.
That was passionate acting. I should have won an award for that. It was the movie Heavenly Claws. My scene got cut. It was good acting, though.
I have not seen this fight that apparently is escalated.
Like, why are we calling people such words on the internet over Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders?
Isn't that what the internet's for?
Yeah, but like, okay, we've got listeners. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like, we got listeners who have been on this, who've been listening to this show and interacting with this show for 9 years. 9 years. And I flat out told some of them, like, they got mad over some of the discourse while the Browns were, like, losing. Like, it's not like, I was going to say, well, the Browns were bad. We're not out of the woods yet just by beating the Dolphins, but let's be honest here. They got mad at some of the discourse, and there were some things going. I go, buddy, I can't imagine, like, 10 years from now, this could all be over. I think you're a good guy, at least from what I'm guessing here on the internet. I don't want to be a person that lost internet people or anything, or even real-life friendships over Joe Flacco, Dylan Gabriel arguments. Like, if we were arguing over some things of some real significance in our big-time fandom lives, fine. I'm not going to lose people over Joe Flacco or Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders. At least not yet. At least not yet I don't want to do that, which they won on Sunday. I think a win is a QB stat for a guy who I think is going to be a career backup. That's not a slight. It's not a slight. You could say, well, Ken, you could say it's not a slight all you want, but it's a slight. No, it's not. It's not.
Well, when the Browns took him in the third round, were they thinking, all right, a favorable outcome would be a career backup?
Yeah, that's what they said. Isn't that what they said?
They called him a backup? He got drafted?
Who was it? I swear to God, there was that said. Owen's nodding his head. He knows somebody.
Andrew Berry, yeah.
Somebody had said they see a guy who they want, or it was like Pelissero. Somebody see Owen. I cross-referenced with Owen. He loves to make me look like an idiot, and he's like, "No, Ken's right." Like somebody who was an insider said that the Browns see him as a backup, as a good career backup, and that. So once I heard that, I go, okay, fine. Then that's what he is. So if he goes out there and he averages 4.5 yards a pass and he doesn't turn the ball over, which I know he got very close a couple of times. I get that. But he didn't turn the ball over. It's not a high bar for backup QBs. Did you win the game? Yeah. It's basically where it is.
But did you not lose the game? Yeah.
Yeah. Did you not lose? Thank you. Did you not lose the game? No, he didn't. Okay, that's where the bar is for a backup quarterback.
When you're spotted that kind of a lead, your defense dominates to that extent, don't blow the game.
I have the same bar set for Dylan Gabriel next week, the week after that, but when he has to come in, if the Browns keep him and he has to come in for Julian Sane in 3 years or something, I have no idea. It's going to be the same bar.
Yeah, they had a 24-6 lead. He had 55 yards passing. That's perfect.
Because you know what you do with a backup quarterback? You know what you do with a backup quarterback when you have a 24-6 lead? Mm-hmm. You sit on the ball. Mm-hmm. You run the ball on first and second down. You maybe do a little bit of easy play action, easy dink and dunks to try to open up the box a little bit.
Unless it's Chad Henne in a playoff game and they desperately need to get a first down.
It's a playoff game. Chad Henne, I mean, he's thrown for 400 yards in this league before.
That's true.
Now, I don't see Dylan Gabriel throwing for 400. You don't see Dylan Gabriel throwing for 400.
One of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play for one of the greatest organizations ever is Chad Henne.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Afternoon drive, though. I'm going to ask you this question here. How much time did Dylan Gabriel buy himself with that win on Sunday? Nick and Jonathan had a debate yesterday afternoon. Here's Nick and JP. They were debating on Dylan Gabriel's performance overall.
In that game, if he's 13 of 18, which is, again, a 73% completion percentage, he had a 90 passer rating.
Who cares about, we live in an era where everybody's fudging pass completion percentages by doing a bunch of check down bull crap.
What he has for himself that other quarterbacks around this Browns team doesn't is that he is not turning the ball over and he is not putting the football in harm's way on a consistent basis.
Other quarterbacks the last 2 weeks, he has put the ball in harm's way. He just hasn't turned the ball over. Those are two different things.
Did he turn the ball over?
No, but you said he hasn't put the ball in harm's way.
You're giving him interceptions that he didn't have, though. Archuleta called it careless. You can call it whatever you want. It did hit the Browns receiver's hands, did it not?
Yes, after it went through the... What are we doing here? Are we trying to identify this kid? Because you and I both have a way that we think he is. But this idea that well, the first game, that was his rookie game, so we got to give him a pass there.
Well, he's three games into this, Nick.
Well, yes, that's the point. You got 17 games this season.
Figured out over 3 games with Dylan Gabriel?
I'm supposed to say you can have an opinion on how he's played.
And my opinion is it wasn't as bad as you're saying it is right now.
No, your opinion was we can't grade him on this game. We couldn't grade him on last game.
No, my opinion was last week we couldn't grade him, and this week I said it was a much better game than what you're saying. I've said acceptable like 12 million times. Am I putting him in Canton? No.
You guys are arguing about the wrong thing. Jonathan's the guy who wanted Shedeur Sanders. What is the argument? What are we arguing about? This is madness. Don't you see? Am I wrong?
I think the bigger argument is just, have you seen anything out of Dylan Gabriel to make you think that you're done looking for a quarterback?
No.
And the answer is no, right?
No.
Like everybody agrees on that.
Well,
so maybe that's not an argument.
I know it's a different position, but you have a rookie in the backfield in Quinshon Judkins that you go, oh, that guy's got it, right?
Yeah,
There's nothing to Dylan Gabriel that goes, that guy's got it, right?
Yeah.
And that could change, but it hasn't. Exactly. Nothing's come out of the gate and said,
nothing that
we
you've
found
seen.
him.
That's a great point to make. Quinshon Judkins carries the ball. You go, dude, that's a dude. Yeah. You see the get off a little bit from Mason Graham. You go, that's a dude. Carson Schlesinger all over the place. Dude, certifiable. No one's saying that.
Yeah,
Who is saying that about Dylan Gabriel?
We are capable of doing two things at once. We don't just have to root for the Browns to win, and that's the end of our day. That's not what GMs do. That's not what coaches do.
No.
Like, we are, until we are proven otherwise, we are always looking for the quarterback. Because we know that nothing really matters until they get a quarterback. It's great that it looks like they've got a great rookie class. And if they do that again next year, that's great again.
You can't enjoy it, and if you don't think you have the quarterback?
You can do two things at once. You can enjoy a win, and then also, hey, as of whatever the date, 10/21/2025, do we have the quarterback yet? The answer is no.
No.
And I think until proven otherwise, we can enjoy these wins. We can also say, but they still don't have a quarterback. So
yes. Because he's a backup QB. So you would say that with a backup quarterback. That's the way it is. You started the season with Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco got traded. Just because Joe Flacco got traded doesn't mean that Dylan Gabriel's not a backup quarterback. Technically, you're playing with your backup quarterback right now. That's where it is. So I know we had a Derek Anderson situation play out once. Okay, that's one out of how many guys in the history of the NFL? And Derek Anderson was only good for a little bit of time because Derek Anderson was basically a glorified backup. He was still a backup who was on a heater. So maybe Dylan Gabriel will get on a heater. Let me answer the question I keep asking you, and I don't let you answer for whatever reason, and I'm sorry about that. How much time did Dylan Gabriel buy himself? He bought himself next week. That's all he did. That's all he did. He bought himself next week. I mean, there's 10 games left. That's plenty of time to still do a couple of things. Evaluate, try to win some games, this, that, and the other. You can do those things. You got 10 games left. I got a game coming up on Sunday. Then I have a bye week. If he goes out there and he's terrible, if New England goes, no, we're exposing all this ends here. Our guy is going to go and he's going to play good offense and we're going to get out of here and we're going to win. And that's going to be the end of it. And they just put handcuffs on Dylan Gabriel to the point where he just looks completely ineffectual. Then fine, give the calls on Monday.
Yeah,
the
but
calls on Monday.
No, but
he bought
we're
himself
talking
next
with the
week.
team, not the fans. With the team, he's got the job for the foreseeable future this year up until I still think we'd be looking at the last 4 games. That's where I think Dillon Gabriel will have. That's the leash I think he has. I think.
Well, that all depends.
Unless they go on what would the lose it? They'd have to lose to the Jets. They'd have to. So then there you go. That's 2 losses. You have the schedule in front of you.
So that all depends.
They tore my schedule.
No, it's over there, but it's hard to read. We got to get this. I did. It's my fault. I didn't get to Mark Podolak and get the thing. So here we go. We got New England coming up on Sunday. You have a bye week. Then you have 9 more games after that. You got the Jets, Ravens, Raiders, 49ers, Titans, Bears, Bills, Steelers, Bengals. Okay? Last 4, the Bears, Bills, Steelers at home.
Yeah, he's
Bills
getting,
and Steelers at home, then the Bengals on the road.
100% getting to the Tennessee game.
Well,
and if they
see, I don't necessarily agree with that.
Oh, yeah, I do.
No, I don't.
Because what you'd have to lose to New York, which who has them losing to New York? It'll be the exact same game plan they just had against the Dolphins. And remember, the Dolphins... That was the game, the measuring stick game between the Dolphins and New York earlier in the year. And you saw who won that game.
Yes.
The Dolphins did.
I think you're right in terms of I don't think it has to go to the Titans game. I think that if he goes out there and you lose to the Jets or it's ugly against the Jets or whatever, like you guys got winnable, very winnable games coming up here. The Jets are 0-7. The Raiders are terrible. You have the Titans, again, that's coming up that he's mentioned there. You got the Raiders and Jets right in front of you there. If you can't string together anything good there, I don't want to hear anything about any of this stuff. Then fine, he is a backup's backup because what happens to backups? They eventually get figured out. So if they get figured out, what's going to happen? Eventually the shoe's going to come off and we're going to see what Dillon Gabriel really is, which is a career backup. That's why you don't want to put backups in there for a very long period of time. And that will, for him, be start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right there with the Jets. Yeah, that's probably by the time you start to get rotten. And so you'll probably go in a different direction. I think with the organization, I think everything's evaluated. I disagree with you. I think with the fans, you get yourself to next week. I think with some fans, they're done with them. I think when you get yourself to next week with the fans, I think you get yourself next week to the organization. Because let me ask you before I go to break, did Kevin Stefanski decide to put Shedeur as the backup quarterback? Was it Kevin who decided to put him as the backup quarterback?
Yeah, I don't know.
There you go. 216-474-0092. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, and you on The Fan.
Anthony Lima, 4.
Head coach Kenny Atkinson saying it's too early to say if Hunter will be able to go in the season opener in New York tomorrow night. You can now find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Some of this yelling is nuts. It's absolutely nuts. I'm getting yelled at from all sides. No one's going to be happy today.
The Browns won on Sunday.
Browns won.
Where is this coming from?
People calling each other hillbillies in the YouTube live stream.
Do you
it's
think?
Just a hell of a day.
Do you think? I know it's just the internet, and
you
people
think
on the
they would
internet
do this
are
in the
angry.
537? Do you think the 537 boys would be doing this at this point?
They were showing us pictures from 537. They stayed till the end.
What do you mean? Where's this coming from?
Where is this? Is this just normal internet hate, which you can find internet hate on Mother Teresa? Is
well,
this?
I think it started with two talk show hosts in Cleveland talking about should Shador have played at the end of that game yesterday.
And
That's my personal belief.
So
and I didn't mean for it to turn into a fight.
Well, it turned into something. Way to go.
I apologize to everybody. I did not mean for this to turn into a fight. And I said that.
There's a lot of times that I don't mean for things to turn into things, and then they turn into things.
Had you had just said at the beginning of the segment when we talked about that, hey, why can't Dillon Gabriel just take a knee for the game he won? It's like, oh yeah, it's his first NFL game
that over to Tony.
that he won.
Yeah, we were. By the way, that was some good. That was like straight from the marriage therapist right there. What you were saying. You're right.
I've been there.
We were not screaming. We were not screaming at each other at all. Right? We were just...
No, we were getting kind of loud.
Well,
it
started out by just Ken asking, hey, should they have put Shador in? And I'm like, I don't think so. Like, you can go back and listen. That's literally how it started. Now, all conversations that start like that between the two of us will end up with us red-faced and screaming at each other.
Most of the time, yes.
So that has more to do with us than the actual discussion.
It's true. Absolutely true.
Like, I imagine the thought partners in Berea, anytime they have a discussion...
Yeah.
I don't think it ends up being unprofessional like the two of us. We get unprofessional at times, but we're two theater kids at heart, right? That's what we do. We end up emotional and screaming at each other. And
Louis Matashoni going to get a shout out on a Tuesday morning.
I remember when you guys did Newsies together, and that was crazy.
It was great.
It might be a little performance aspect to it, but
West Side Story.
I imagine when Stefanski and Barry have a quarrel. They're not going to agree on everything. It's just the two of us yesterday. We're like, all right, he said, yeah, I'd put him in. And I'm like, no, I wouldn't. And that was it. That was the debate. And people are like, you guys led with that on your radio show? No, we didn't. But I see where you guys have taken it. You guys are screaming at each other continuously because let's get to the reality of this. This is the brass tacks, as somebody here like to say all the time.
Here you go.
You got to root against Dillon Gabriel if you want to see Shador. That's just a fact.
Correct.
That's just a fact because this is not a playoff team. Nobody thinks it's a playoff team. We can revisit that if they roll off like 4 wins in a row.
Well, actually, I wanted to talk about that later because I had a segment that everybody's going to hate and has nothing to do with backup quarterbacks right now.
Well, we'll do that later. But
want to do it now.
But this goes to your just enjoy the win thing that you did last segment.
Yeah.
I don't know that do you truly think there are hardcore Browns fans that also want to see Shador over Dillon Gabriel, or do hardcore Browns fans just want to see wins?
No one's getting it, man. No one's getting it.
I think,
you're fine. I'm not talking about you guys. I mean the proverbial you. You guys aren't getting it. It's going to happen naturally.
Yeah, it will happen.
It's going to happen naturally.
But you got to understand the thought, if you are a Shador first person, we have a lot of them. And then there are some Browns fans who are Browns fans first, but also really like Shador, and they've seen Dillon Gabriel, and they're like, okay, this guy sucks.
Right.
Like this guy.
They're ready to see the next.
They have no faith in him. We have how many names on the back of that jersey? Let's just go to the next one.
41.
And they're thinking if there's something special in there, then the more runway Shador gets, we're going to eventually see the special. They don't think there's anything special with Dillon Gabriel, and so they're like,
really
why are we
isn't.
giving him any more time when there's like you're calling him a backup, a journeyman backup is probably his future.
I'm not meaning it to be.
What's the
people
point
are
of
taking
that?
it in the meanest way possible.
That's almost like why play Joe Flacco? He's 40 years old. Okay, I get that now. why play the guy that you've already deemed a journeyman backup?
Because right now he gives you the best chance to win, according to what they feel. And I know a lot of people don't trust Kevin Stefanski and the brain trust here, but that's the way they feel about it. Guys, I'm just trying to tell you, it's going to happen naturally. Why are we fighting with each other? There's no reason to fight. Guys, it's you know it and I know it. You know what you're seeing. Don't be so silly. Don't make yourself out to be silly. You know what you're seeing. What you're seeing is limited. What you're seeing is a limited guy who can do certain things and that you're hoping that will be a backup for you, that will be smoke and mirrors. That's it. That's it, guys. So why are we in this big hurry? I gotta play Shador. I gotta play him. Why do we gotta play him? Well, I gotta see it. Because if I hate him, I gotta go out there and suck up the room, and I gotta make sure I'm right. I gotta tell everybody I kept all the bookmarks on the internet, because that's all I do is live on the internet. So I gotta make sure that I tell everybody that I was right about Shador and they were wrong. Or on the other hand, all you people that just hate Shador, all you Shador haters, I gotta show you guys how great. I don't care. He's gonna play at some point. It's gonna happen. I don't know when it's gonna happen. I got people like, well, I got on a high authority he's gonna play against the Titans. I got on a high authority he's gonna play against the Bears. Hey, clear your calendar for December. He's going to play all of December. There ain't no high authority. You know what your high authority is? Watching the damn games on Sunday and seeing the guy ahead of him. That's why you know you're going to see it. Because eventually with a guy who's a backup, the thing's going to fall apart and you're going to lose a game you shouldn't lose.
But you just underscored it.
You could go out and lose to the Patriots are better than you, the 5-2. Drake May's on the MVP odds right now. But I tell you what, you go out there to New York and you lose to the Jets. Welcome.
But you just underscored it, Kenny. You just kind of said it without saying it.
What?
You are going to be there week in and week out at the stadium, right? You're going to be there.
Yeah.
You are doing pregame shows. You're in the cardiac club. You're there. Do you know who wasn't there on Sunday?
Justin Bibbs.
Well, he's at 77% of the things he's supposed to be, according to Channel 5. The thing is, Kenny, 75% of the fans were not there.
Just getting started.
At the next
to go
one.
to the meetings.
I'll see you. Robert's Rules of Orders. Can I?
He went to that Coke drinking party.
We had 2 Cokes and we struck a deal.
And I drank 75% of the Coke.
You know, I got to tell you, how I'm getting older, I can't drink a 12-ounce pop anymore.
Oh, no.
I can't do it. And you'd look at me and you go, Ken, I'm serious, guys. Go ahead.
All right. Who wasn't there? Well, you're going to be there, and the 537 boys are going to be there every game. And
hell yeah.
Obviously, Kevin Stefanski and Andrew
Barry. And I hope to be with the 537 boys at a game soon enough, but that's for another day.
Also, when we asked Daryl Ryder how many fans were in attendance, and he said, it was a third full. Okay, so that is getting at where...
So they're just not watching? So you guys are bitching about something you're not watching?
I think that underscores the larger point, which is going to fuel the Shador conversation, which is apathy until something new happens. They've seen Dylan Gabriel 3 times, and they're like, man, the coach won't even let him throw the ball further than 5 yards down the field. We're wasting time again. We are wasting time with Flacco. We're wasting time now with him.
How can I be apathetic when my team won the effing game and made the other team look bad? How can I be apathetic when the other team when I won the game and the other team looked bad? How can I be apathetic towards that? Guys, I got it, and I'm gonna give away what I can sell. All you guys who just want to tank and say all these wins don't matter, guys, look at your schedule. You're better than some of these teams out here. So if you're gonna go, and let me put this out there now. Okay, the Patriots probably gonna lose. 7-point underdogs. You're on the road, probably gonna lose. I would pick against the Browns.
Drake May, number 3 in the MVP candidacy.
Jets are a mess. Jets are a mess. The head coach wears capris. They're 1-13 with coaches wearing capris between the 2 guys in the AFC East that wear capris. The Baltimore Ravens are a toss-up. You'll probably lose that game, okay? So right now you're looking at 3 wins with the Jets, 4 wins with the Raiders. They're a more bun mess. By the way, did you see Kenny Pickett try to handle that first snap? Felt bad about that. Tennessee, you'll probably win. That's 4 wins. That's 5 wins there. Okay, so right now I'm looking at 5 wins. So my goals, my thoughts about this Browns team have changed. You know what? They don't want to fire. There's no agendas here. I'm just telling you the cold, hard truth, and if you can't accept that, that's on you. You are probably a 5-win football team as I look right here because you're naturally better than a couple of these teams. So either A, you better hope that they lose, and that's a sick way to look at things, or B, they're a 5-win team. So you know what, Kev, Andrew, you guys want to keep your jobs? Go find me the other 3 wins. Go find me the other 3 wins that makes this team palatable. Go find me the other 3 wins with the rookie quarterback that I'm just trying to tell you guys the truth about, and his backup that I'm probably going to end up having to tell you guys the truth about. Go find the other 3 wins and we'll talk. Go be a coach and go find the other 3 wins. Go scheme them up. How about starting this week? Mike Vrabel knows everything about you. Yeah, you know everything about Mike Vrabel. Go find a way to do it. They're good. Are they that good already? I don't know. It's up to you to figure it out. Up to you. Because I think you're probably a 5-win football team right now. You got 3 more wins in you, just judging by the schedule, playing the schedule game. Go find me 3 more wins, and then we can say, hey, you know what? You're back in 2026. Because, guys, with 5 wins, all you guys who are talking about tanking, you ain't getting Fernando Mendoza, and you're probably not getting Dante Moore with 5 wins. Who else? You want Carson Beck with 5 wins? No.
Yeah, the Dolphins and Jets are already going to get the quarterback they want.
So there you go. So I might, you know what? I might as well put my coach to task. You want to be the head coach? We want to talk about you. We want to get you out of the fire because it was as hot as it could possibly be last week. You've somehow got the guys rallied together, or they rallied themselves together, whatever way, or the Dolphins are just that big of a mess, and you embarrass the Dolphins on Sunday. That's great. You're 2-5. Go get your 3 other wins that I have slotted in for you, and then go get me 3 more. Go do it, and we'll talk. That's my test right now. It ain't about finding quarterbacks, things like that. I just think you're naturally not going to be in that spot. So go find it. But guys, there's no agendas here. I'm not trying to fit into some anti-Shador or pro-Shador or anti-Dylan Gabriel or pro-Dylan Gabriel agenda. I'm just telling you how it is. I ain't rooting for anybody other than the Browns to win a freaking football game. That's it. How do I have D ahead of John here, Mitch? But one guy says he's going to put me in his place. You want me to make an executive decision?
I want you going right down. No, he just changed. He's
John
number 1
and
now.
Matt. Oh, that was such an easy thing to do. Boy, I hope you don't ever have to go into for questioning Mitch. Lord Almighty. Hello, John and Madison.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Hi.
Well, Kenny, I don't want you to have an aneurysm this morning. You're so worked up about this.
I'm not worked up at you, John. Well, maybe I will be, but I'm not worked up at you.
It's this whole quarterback thing. So this is hopefully you keep me on for a little bit of time here. Number one, we're a field goal away and one defensive stop against Minnesota from maybe having a whole different conversation to this season with 2 more wins right now, right? And number two, we had our quarterback, so I don't know why you put so much faith in the front office. Baker Mayfield's making them look like asses right now, and they traded for Deshaun Watson. So, yeah, Jimmys and Joes and X's and O's, you need them all.
I'm not defending all that, John. So what's the issue here?
Well, I don't think that Dylan Gabriel, you should be judging him. The team won. You win with the team, and I think he's playing to the game plan. He's playing to what they're scheming that week. If it's run and win, run and win. If it's throw and win, throw and win.
Yeah, but we're also evaluating the quarterback long term, right? That you're always doing that.
But I don't. But why? Because
because we don't have one.
We had one. We had two.
Okay, but that's you're speaking about the past.
Living in the past.
We're living in today.
You're living in the past.
How do the Browns get to their next quarterback of the future?
So when we have a good quarterback or potentially our quarterback of the future, what do we do with them? We trade them away.
We're talking about today.
Do you think Dylan Gabriel
we evaluate a kicker? We get it. We all agree they made a mistake.
Hold on.
How are they getting to their next quarterback?
Yeah, well, let me ask you this first. Let's get to this place first here, John. You want to stay? Here we go. Do you think Dylan Gabriel's the quarterback of the future?
I think that they won a game with the people that were on the field.
He didn't say yes.
He didn't say yes.
He doesn't think yes.
And you know why, John? John, you and I just
agree with Lima.
No, you and I agree with each other. Because I'll tell you this. I gave Dylan Gabriel credit for winning the football game. And this is the whole thing I'm saying. John, that's what you do with a backup quarterback. You give him credit for winning the game.
I agree with Lima. The sample's too small. Each game has been a little bit different. And I think I don't know. I wouldn't give up on him yet. That's all I'm saying.
John, that's the issue, though. I want, for the record, and you guys can all see me on YouTube right now. I am not. That was not me who gave him the sweet chin music. John, you've wrapped yourself in a cocoon, Peter McNeely style. I'm not giving up on him. To give up on him would mean that I said he would be a franchise quarterback at one point, and now all of a sudden he's back up. No, this isn't me giving up on him. This is me telling you what I think he is. This isn't giving up. I'm not giving up on on Dylan Gabriel being what I think he's going to be as a backup quarterback for his entire career? What planet are we living on? Stop trying to turn these guys into something they're not.
I do see where John doesn't think that you're giving him a chance to be a starting quarterback, though.
He's starting for the effing football team right now.
Yeah, but if you're calling him a career backup, you're not giving him the Ken Carman stamp of starter.
Because I can't do it, because I'm just being honest. I'm not doing it with the other guy either. Do you notice that?
Well, he hadn't started a game.
And we'll see what he and when he does, which will be sooner than later, when he does, we'll have that discussion. And I can't imagine, John and Madison calls me up and he says, I'm going to have an aneurysm then. I probably will have it then when it happens. If I'm already doing this over Dylan Gabriel, of all people, I can't imagine it's going to be any better with Shedeur Sanders. And everybody calling up about him and all his foibles and all his shortcomings and longcomings and all the other things. I mean, my God. John said the same. He wanted to disagree with me. He said the same thing I've been saying for 40 minutes. Coming up next. Hey, speaking of, guess who played last night?
Who's that, Ken?
A guy whose MVP odds took a big hit. It's an About Last Night on The Fan. Tom Merritt.
much can happen around the globe that we never hear of.
Embarrassing. We got to be better on defense.
It won't matter till April. And I think we know that. Y'all gonna write us off. We could go 82-0, no one would care.
He's a piece of crap. The kid, he sucks. He's sucked his whole career.
I got rumors about him. How he couldn't please his wife, so now he's divorced.
Put a damn winning team on the field.
Now, the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima give their thoughts on what you might have missed about last night.
Last night we had a pair of Monday Night Football games. The first one, a 24-9 Lions win over the Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield had a bit of a tough one going. He had 228 passing yards, 28 of 50 with a touchdown and an interception. Also got into some commentary about the referees in the postgame.
A lot of things in that game that a little questionable, but a lot of frustration at the end of that. I work my ass off and I put a lot into this game, so when things that I don't seem are deemed fair, I'm going to let somebody know, and that's good, bad, and different.
This seemed to be the first just overall tough game for Baker Mayfield so far this season. Did his MVP chances take a hit after last night?
Well, they did, according to the sports books. He fell to 5th, and on some of them, he was 1 or 2 going into that game. So it's kind of silly. We're week to week on this stuff, obviously. Here's where it gets really tough for him later after the bye in November. At home against the Patriots, at the Buffalo Bills, at the Rams. That's where his candidacy, or how we talk about Baker, is because he had all these great come-from-behind wins to start out the season. In some of those games, he really wasn't playing well for 3 quarters. Now, if he can survive that stretch, and we're still talking about Tampa Bay as a potential number 1 or number 2 seed, then he has a shot.
It's one bad game. All right. You don't have Mike Evans. Hurt his collarbone.
Yeah.
It's one bad game. Let's not go nuts and start dancing on graves here. All right? You guys need to be careful. That's still a fun team.
He had to watch
it
until the end, Ken.
Offensive team, yes. But, again, Detroit's a really, really, really good football. Somebody, by the way, was it real Xavier P who said Matt Stafford should be in the running? Should be up near the top?
Why not?
That's a really good point. Is Matt Stafford on the top of your odds over there? Did you see that, or did you click off? I'm sorry.
I'm off it right now.
Was he anywhere?
I thought he might have been 5th or 6th.
Okay. Baker did take a little bit of a hit last night, because now, remember, he's got to continue to put up great numbers, and last night was rough, but also you have incumbents there. Like now, where's Mahomes at?
Oh, back up.
Okay.
Yeah, he's starting to inch up.
It's tough. I mean, the media, we take players and we take teams and we wrap them around us like a warm blanket, and it takes a long time for us to get out of it. Remember when the Patriots started to come apart and people were going after media saying, well, wait a minute, I don't think this team looks good. Other media crushed them because we take these teams and we continue to push it longer. But I do think the Chiefs could be poised for a run. I do think Mahomes would have a look at it.
We also heard from Baker's former head coach Kevin Stefanski yesterday during Browns pressers, and he addressed what Joel Bitonio talked on Sunday about his, talking to the team last Monday, where things got a little bit intense according to the team, and Stefanski talked about his background and how it played into it.
I message the football team every single day, and there's sometimes you use different tools to get their attention.
Have you ever been that intense? The way he described it is that you gave it to them pretty good.
The Philly comes out every once in a while, yes.
Probably all the WIP he was listening to over the years.
They get very fired up. Now, we in Cleveland get fired up when we're talking about 3rd and 5th round quarterbacks. That's where the Cleveland comes out of us.
Is there going to be... I hope that there is a kid right now who got dropped off at high school just a little bit ago.
Hopefully he's benefiting from his name, image, and likeness.
Hopefully he's going to benefit from his name, image, likeness. And 20 years from now, you got the Chargers fired up. I listened to a lot of 92.3 The Fan growing up.
A lot of it.
A lot of that growing up. They had this guy. He's been dead now for a while. His name is Ken. And
it's actually Lima, the skinny one. He's the one that died early. But
that would be one of the all-time upsets, I think.
But you know
Even with the amount of skiing you've done.
Why can't you both be dead?
We can both be dead. We can both go to a South Beach trip and have some fun.
Here's hoping.
Wouldn't that be great? Anyway.
Hopefully you die in each other's arms.
I don't think I should start skiing again after 40.
I think it's time to get started.
It's a real risky proposition for me.
I do wonder if, after hearing Kevin say that, is this why people in the Midwest hate people from the East Coast? Do you ever hear people go, it's the Cleveland in me? Like that is such a New York, Philly, Boston.
Yeah, you're right.
It is such. Well,
you're right. That's annoying.
I'm from Boston. I mean, I'm a mascot.
I'm a New Yorker.
It's actually the opposite. When you're a mild-mannered guy, they go, he's a Midwesterner. He doesn't have as much.
That is weird. There's so many
vinegar
people
in him.
There's like people who claim to be New Yorkers, and we're very like shut out on things. Like my buddy Nick, he's like, "You're not a Clevelander." I go, "Well, my kids were born here. They're raised." No, you're not. You're not. I'm like, I've been here for 14 years ago. It doesn't matter. You're from Canton. I go, okay. Like he has a very strict. He doesn't think you're a Clevelander. He says you were born in Menor. How you like that, Tone? Wow. We shut people out. New York, they let everybody in. Oh, White Plains. That's a New Yorker. Oh, Albany. That's a New Yorker. Oh, okay. Terrytown. Go ahead.
You know, it used to also be Cleveland natives. Multiple players in last night's ALCS Game 7 between the Blue Jays and Mariners. Toronto wins 4-3. There was a weird sequence in the first inning involving a couple of former Clevelanders.
Here's a bouncing ball left side. Cut off by Clement. The third baseman hits the runner. They won't get a double play. Naylor didn't do anything to go out of his way to have that throw hit him. Well, I don't know that he didn't do anything but jump into the throw. As long as you're not making deliberate contact with the throw, you're not going out of your way. But they are going to say that he did go out of his way, and it's an interference on Naylor.
Audio via Fox. That's Ernie Clement throwing at Josh Naylor on a Shane Bieber pitch while Miles Straw and Andres Jimenez look away.
Him just turning around.
It's hilarious.
And getting it off the back of his head. Shane Bieber looked mad at him. Ernie Clement was laughing his ass off. Come on, man. Like, in my day, that was good, strong baseball, breaking up a double play, brother. That's what you did.
Well, his reputation, Naylor, it's totally changed. He's now,
I love it.
He's now, one of the speedsters on the bases.
That's it for About Last Night.
What
awesome
shenanigans.
last night. It was so much fun. Most entertaining player in baseball. I miss him. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and say it. I miss him. You know what else I miss? The Musk of John Greco. And he joins us coming up next. What did Dylan Gabriel's teammates think of his play so far? What did they think of it on Sunday? John was a teammate of a quarterback that may have been doing well, may have struggled. We'll find out with John coming up in 5 minutes on The Fan.
Anthony Lima for Mentality Health.
I guess those guys, by definition, are developmental players. So why is it like out of the realm of possibility the best thing for Shedeur Sanders personally is to have that redshirt year and have a chance to learn?
Listen for the MMQB's Albert Breer, Tuesdays at 5:20 on Cleveland's Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
Ladies and gentlemen, at 9 o'clock, we have Cavs home opener tickets. NBA starts tonight, Tone.
Yes, we've got not only NBA tonight, the official now return of Round Ball Rock on NBC.
It's fantastic.
I sent you like 1,000-word screed somebody had going off on the way they're doing it and how they're screwing it up.
I didn't read any of it. How do you like that?
It was a second-by-second breakdown of how they butchered it.
Let's go to the fan hotline. Welcome in John Greco. He butchers nothing. He's 92.3 The Fan's Browns analyst, former Browns guard, joins us right now. Hello, John.
Ken, good morning. Anthony, good morning. It's great to be with you guys.
What does a win like that do for the confidence in Dillon Gabriel with the team, the team's confidence in Dillon?
Yeah, I think they had confidence in him, but when you get a win like that at home so convincingly, and all Dillon Gabriel did was kind of what we've seen with a little bit more help from the defense. He didn't shock the world with huge throws down the field or big, explosive plays, but he's going to do what he is. He's going to be efficient. He's going to get the ball out of his hands. He's going to have everybody organized, throw the ball in the right place. And that's what I saw, and when you couple that with terrific play out of your young star running back and, you get 4 takeaways and the defense is getting a couple sacks, that's a winning recipe for football. So, I think everybody needed that, fans, coaches, media people, players especially, to just hit a little bit of a mini reset. And I know, I hear Kevin Stefanski and every coach I've ever played for has said, hey, look what's immediately ahead of us, directly ahead of us. And they're worried about the Patriots. But, guys, we have the luxury that we can look ahead. And the schedule over the next month, I don't want to call it light, but there's some winnable games in there. The Jets are terrible. Vegas can be a game that you can win. And the Patriots, I know they have a young young quarterback that's playing really well. And, they have the Mike Vrabel thing, which is going to be entertaining. But their defense, they're not world beaters, and it's not the Patriots defense that, was winning all those championships. So anything can happen there. And then you have the Jets who are worse than Miami is. So I'm looking ahead. I'm looking to see if they can build on some of this momentum. But Dillon Gabriel absolutely has the confidence of the team right now, and the team has the confidence to move forward and say, hey, look, if we just play our game and play complementary football in all 3 phases, we can rattle off some wins.
All right, so they're able to get away with that while playing with a lead against the Dolphins, a team that kind of look like they're ready to quit if they haven't already on their coach. What happens when they're going up against a team on the road like New England, who has been very good against the run this year? How do you think that looks, and do you think they can afford to be that conservative?
Yeah, exactly, Anthony. And I don't. Mike Vrabel's knows what he's doing. And, he played for, arguably one of the best coaches that's ever coached football in Bill Belichick. And what did good Bill Belichick teams always do? They would try to neutralize your biggest strength, which for the Browns right now is their rushing attack. So I would expect very heavy boxes and say, we are not letting that young running back win the game for us. And let's put the pressure on Dillon Gabriel and make these guys, complete the ball, complete passes down the field. And, New England's rushing attack, your defense, you're right, is stout. But their pass game, pass defense kind of leaks oil. I don't know where they are ranked, but I know it's probably in the bottom third, and they're giving up a lot of yards per game. So can the Browns find a way to attack the ball downfield? Now, they haven't done that yet. Dillon Gabriel was efficient, as we all know, and we've talked about throughout this season, but still, I think the longest completion down the field was maybe 20 yards to Jamari Thrash. I don't know the specific yardage off the top of my head, but it's not like they're clipping the ball 30, 40 yards down the field and taking big shots. So how can Kevin Stefanski, how can this offensive staff dial up some more aggressive plays down the field to loosen up defenses to allow the running game to flourish a little bit more?
Can you make comparisons already between Nick Chubb and Quinshon Judkins? Lima asked me yesterday, and I said I wasn't ready to do it yet.
Yes, but I think Nick Chubb just has such a special place in Browns fans' hearts and in that stadium and in that locker room. He's almost like a cherished relic of the Browns. So it's tough to do that, and I feel like we almost think it's kind of unfair. And Quinshon Judkins is kind of his own thing and his own guy, and that's kind of how I'm approaching it. I see a guy that has a lot of comparisons to Nick Chubb. He's explosive. He breaks tackles. He looks like he's a smart player. He's kind of a quiet storm. Nick Chubb almost showed zero emotions. This young guy has a little bit more fire, which I love, and the guys feed off of that. But I'm seeing a lot of the similarities where, and you guys have heard me say this before, if the offensive line and the tight ends and the offense blocks for 4 yards, he's picking up 6. If it looks like he's dead in the water and it's going to be a tackle for loss or a no gainer, he's falling forward. And he has that speed, that breakaway speed, that explosive capability when he hits the hole to make a guy miss and pick up big plays. So there's a lot of comparisons. It's just hard for me to do that because of what Nick Chubb meant for this city, for this team and organization, and to these fans. That I think that's why some people are going to hesitate. But that's what we do. We want to compare players, current players to former players that we know and love. And I get why folks are doing that. But for me, I'm looking at it just as a new experience and something that we can all be excited about because that man has such a bright future.
All right, we've kind of gone over this throughout the weeks, depending on the game, on pass protection versus runs. And there just weren't a lot of holes for Judkins. He did capitalize on one that was there, and he took it to the house, which was awesome. But he is still getting touched a lot behind the line of scrimmage. You just chalk that up to so many guys going through so many different lineups on the offensive line.
Yeah, Anthony, it's I don't want to sit here like I'm making excuses for them, but I do think that that's what it is, and I think that there's small breakdowns on each play. And I don't know if you guys watched that game last night, the Detroit Tampa game, but yes. Jahmyr Gibbs had a off tackle run to the right where he was literally untouched and he ran through like a 4-yard hole, and obviously we saw the breakaway speed. That just isn't there because there's so much traffic in the box because the Browns are one-dimensional right now. So there's so many bodies. You have to rely on receivers getting in there and digging out their blocks, tight ends working with tackles to the next level, and everything just has to go so perfect for them to gain any ground in the running game. And that's where we're seeing Judkins have success, where he's just breaking tackles and making guys miss and making the improbable look successful. So that's where we're at right now, guys, and it's going to continue to do that until they're able to soften defenses up and show that they can attack the ball down the field, which I'm hoping that they do and open up the playbook and become a little bit more aggressive. But yeah, your eyes aren't lying, Anthony, to you. We're seeing that, and I think it's just small breakdowns within the play here and there, and those guys just have to get that cleaned up.
John Greco joining us on the show. Well, you just answered what I was going to ask, because I was like, well, is there anything Kevin could do to free up Dillon Gabriel there? Because, we're having this weird argument, and I think people have been having arguments between Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur for a while now, and so they become immediately sensitive to the quarterback discussion. Because when I look at Dillon Gabriel's future, I'm like, hey, man, I see a career backup. Because everything you're telling me is everything that you would deal with when you have a backup quarterback. All right, let's try to win, even though our offense is one-dimensional, and we have to do this, this, and this to take care of some of the shortcomings that the quarterback has. And I got some people just flat out cussing me out over it. And I'm going, guys, I don't think that this is going to be, if he ends up being a great story, fine, but I'm not going to put more pressure on him than I already want to put on him. Just because he's a Browns quarterback and he's a rookie doesn't mean I automatically think he's going to be a franchise quarterback. And I think that either A, people don't want to accept that, they love an underdog, or B, they are arguing over his backup, and they don't want to see his backup, and they're just not going to hear anything out of it, and we're going to see things that we're really not seeing when it comes to the quarterback play so far, because the quarterback play's been just fine, just there, but it hasn't been anything that can't be defended. By a defense, I mean, not by me, but I mean by defense.
Yeah, and there's a lot there to unpack, and I'm with you. I talk to fans, that I'm friends with, and I get scolded on the internet the same way, and we're all kind of wanting the same thing. We're wondering what's hamstringing them from being more explosive. And a lot of people are blaming Dillon Gabriel. A lot of people are blaming Kevin Stefanski. A lot of people are blaming the receivers. I think it's a combination of all those things. And it's hard to give really anybody a fair assessment offensively because I don't know who deserves the bulk of that blame. So same thing with Shedeur Sanders. I love that guy. I love his fire. I love his energy, and I want to see him succeed. So by forcing him in there right now, are we going to get the best version of him, or is he going to be scrambling because the protection's not there and because guys can't get open down the field or guys can't catch the ball? That's kind of where I'm at. So I don't know what the answer is, and I don't know who to blame. I just think everybody's taken part in it, and why they can't manufacture a downfield passing attack. I don't know what it is. I think it has something to do with guys not getting open and catching the ball consistently. I think a lot of times protection is breaking down, and I think the coaching and the play calling has been so damn conservative that combining all of those things together, this is what we're seeing. And I don't know the answer. A lot of people were saying, well, Shedeur would be able to come in and increase those explosive plays. Maybe he would. I don't know how we can just say that right here, right now, with what he would be working with around him. So a lot of the people that are Shedeur fans and in that camp that are so excited to see that young man play, I'm one of them. I want to see him play, and I want him to do really well. But I want Dillon Gabriel to do really well because that means the Browns are winning games. I don't really care who's in there. I want them to win. And what it looks like, if it's grimy, if it's a blue-collar win like it was Sunday where the offense is doing just enough, but the defense is playing, extraordinary, whatever it takes, guys. So, yeah, I think it's hard because the offense does not have that explosive downfield player, and they just lack the consistency in the pass game right now to where I don't know if Dillon Gabriel had, some of the other receivers in the league on the team, would he be, ranked in the top 5 and look like this explosive passer? Or would we be having the same arguments? Oh, no, the play calling is too conservative. I just think it's a combination of all those things that's really, hamstringing the vertical passing game right now.
John Greco joining us on the show. If he struggled and they lost against New England, you have a bye week there, would you kick around playing Shedeur against the Jets?
Gosh, guys, I don't know. Some of these arguments that I was just saying,
it's okay. You can say no, or you can say we'll see when we get there. There's always next week.
I'm thinking about it because, it's not like Dillon Gabriel's out there turning the ball over and fumbling and taking 1 million sacks and throwing the ball 100 yards over guys' heads and throwing right to defenders. It's just not that exciting right now. And again, if Shedeur Sanders comes in, is he going to be constantly under pressure? Is he going to be throwing the ball 4 yards and 6 yards down the field? Or are we just going to be chucking it up? And if that happens, are guys going to be coming down with the ball? And then we're like, oh my God, where was this? So it's hard for me to look through a crystal ball, but my guess is if they lose to New England and you go in the bye, of course that question is going to come up, and we won't know until, Thursday of that week because, the Browns don't disclose any information. It's very, very secretive. So for me, no. I'm kind of in the camp that I want to see Shedeur Sanders do well, and if all of these things around Dillon Gabriel are contributing to his lack of success throwing the ball down the field, I kind of think that's going to happen to Shedeur. And I'd rather just see a guy have the best chance to be put into the best chance to win games and succeed. And look, Dillon Gabriel's in there right now because he's the only damn quarterback on the roster. that's name is not Shedeur Sanders. So, these guys do they have the best chance around them to succeed? Time will tell, but I'm sure that conversation is going to come up, and I guess we'll approach that when it does.
10 seconds. If NIL in high school would have been available at Boardman High School, would you have a deal with Jay's Hot Dogs?
Yeah, absolutely. And the guy that would line them up all the way up to his hairy bicep and shoulder, yes, I would be in there. I'd be on their commercials. I would get free hot dogs and free chili dogs every Saturday.
That's just flavor. All right. John, thank you very much for the time.
Guys, thank you. Have a good week.
You too. John Greco on the Fan Hotline. Coming up at 9 o'clock, Josina Anderson is going to join us on the show. Senior NFL insider, Exhibit News Network. When does she think Shedeur is going to end up getting to play? What does she see? What is she hearing about Dylan Gabriel? All that stuff. By the way, coming up in 5 minutes, a segment you're going to hate, and it has nothing to do with this guy. I will not mention the backup quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. That's a solemn promise to you, but you're still going to hate it anyway. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, live on the Fan. Northeast Factory Directed, Northeast.
Owned and operated electricians, offering 24/7 emergency services for both residential and commercial needs. With an A+ Better Business Bureau and 4.9-star Google review ratings. Call or visit TriCountyElectricService.com.
Sign up to be a part of the fan club. Download the free Odyssey app and follow 92.3 The Fan to get all of the best audio and best stories sent straight to your inbox. 92.3thefan.com.
Good luck if you're making your way in on I-90. It's been jammed for about an hour and a half. And it's going to be that way until 2028.
From the west side.
On the west side. Yeah, hope you're enjoying that as they've crammed 4 lanes into 3.
It got me yesterday. I wasn't paying attention. I left early enough to not pay attention on my drive-in, and that lane where they now cram it down to 2.
Then it goes down to 2.
Totally got in the exit lane, got off on West 117th, didn't mean to.
Hi.
Oh, yeah, you're gone.
Yeah.
If you miss it. Kenny, welcome back. Then they've erected the Jersey barriers on the the inner lanes on both sides that act as a force field. So if you think you're drifting...
A force field?
Well, it is it's bumper cars in the middle of swings and things.
Yes, that's what it is.
So they're selling that place.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, they are.
Hey,
I looked into purchasing it.
I was about to say, you guys want to get in on the ground floor there?
But again, you don't need to. You have I-90, and you have it until 2028, which is how long this construction project is going. And luckily for you, if you like
the bumper boat portion of it, it will flood down there at some point, and you'll get that as well.
That is what they're fixing.
Awesome.
Well, in 2028. I'll be halfway to a dome stadium by then. I don't even care.
Josina Anderson going to join us at 9 o'clock. Make sure you're listening. Senior NFL Insider, Exhibit News Network. She was the one on Thursday night going, boy, it's going to be wild on Cleveland Sports Radio tomorrow. And it was.
That guy went from pimping rides to he has his own news network now?
Yes, he does, apparently, yes. That TV channel's over now. Where are we going to find Pimp My Ride?
Oh, no. That's right.
Somebody said it and they were totally right. It was such a great channel, and then it became that Rob Dyrdek guy or whatever his name is. His personal YouTube page. I'm like, yep, that's right. And it was like, I'm like, I don't want to see. Once Big died, I didn't care about anything that guy ever did. It was that show, I was only there for Big, and that was it. And, I got a little older. They were a powerhouse at one point. So, listen, you're going to hate this segment. Not that you already don't. I'm not going to mention backup quarterbacks at all. I'm not even talking about quarterbacks. I got to talk to the tankers out there. See, there's a reason for everything. I don't just say these things. Lima doesn't just say these things. There's a reason for everything. I'm going to do Brian Windhorst fingers here. Why do I keep mentioning Mac Jones? Why do I keep bringing him up? Because I don't think that you're going to be in a position to take any of the QBs who you might talk yourself into liking at the top of the draft. So you might be in retread mode. You might have a new court, and you might have a new head coach next year.
Even with 2 picks.
Even with 2 picks. So you need to think of the best options available to you. Because your best options available to you might be a retread. So if I can see Mac Jones, and guys, I'm not going to make a big argument for him. I'm just going to say this right now. You see what a guy can do, and he ain't that great, but he ain't that bad. You see what a guy can do when you don't take your defensive coordinator and put him in charge of the offense, which is what happened in New England. You see what a guy can do when he has a good coach that knows how to scheme him. Kyle Shanahan's a good coach. I don't really like the guy. I know he's a good coach. This is where I'm at. The tankers, I think, have the wrong idea. I think you can sit there and stomp your feet, you guys who want to tank and kick and scream and be as upset as you want to. Because I think some of the people who want to tank just want to see, I said I wasn't going to mention backup quarterback, so I'm not going to do that. I think they just want their best chance to get a Fernando Mendoza or a Dante Moore or a John Mateer, one of these guys, get us out of this mess. And by the way, you're perfectly well within your reason to do so. Perfectly fine to do so, guys. Ty Simpson looks really good, by the way, down there at Alabama. Mm-hmm. You're perfectly with him.
Arlovsky says he's QB1 by a mile right now.
Really?
Yep.
I wish people could see my face when you just said that. I like him. He's 6'2". He's tall enough. He's got it. And boy, he threw a couple of ropes against Mizzou over the weekend. So I don't know if you're going to be there yet. All right? And it's still, guys, we still got over a month left to go in the college football season. The reason I bring this up is that you're 2-5 right now. I don't think you're going to be in that spot. And I fight the tankers, not based on pride or anything like that. You could even say Kenny bleep pride. I'm tired of you talking about pride. Fair. But look at what your schedule is in front of you. You have at least 3 more wins on this schedule. That's 5. You know you have an organization that does not, as much as this is going to hate, and this is why you're going to hate this segment. As much as you hate hearing this, you know what I'm about to say is true. They do not want to fire Kevin Stefanski or Andrew Berry. They do not want to do that. You get the 5 wins, he's still up for grabs. I think 5, everything's still in play. As far as, hey, man, you only you got your win against the Packers. That was an unforeseen win. But, I mean, if you just go out and you beat the Dolphins, the Jets, the Raiders, the Titans, it's like, meh. Yeah, you beat some teams you're supposed to beat. It's an expensive football team as it is, whatever. But they don't want to fire him. So if we're not going to get that number 1 pick and we're not going to get to where we need to go, I think my challenge is to the head coach and the coaching staff. Go find me the 3 other wins. Now, you might have got 1 against Green Bay. I don't know if you're going to get it. Go give me 3 other wins. Go prove to me that we're all wrong. Because if you get to 8 wins with how this season has gone, I can give you an argument. I can give you an argument, hey, you got 3 wins last year, you got 8 this year. So it would stand to say that, well, if you didn't fire him after 3, why would you fire him after 8? It is the Browns. They've done some weird things before, but they don't want to fire him. If we know anything about this team, they don't want to let anybody go. Now, you guys may hate that, but that's where the challenge is. Because if they're going to try to keep people there, I want something proven to me that they can get this thing out of the trash can. 8-9 is not great. It's not in the trash can. It's an improvement on what last year was, right? Right. Now, you still have tearing down to do. Now, I could be singing a completely different tune if they go over there and they embarrass themselves against New England. That's granted. But damn it, this is where the challenge lies. Like, if I'm telling you guys, if I'm in charge of the Browns, if I were the owner of the Browns, this is where it is. I expect you to beat the hapless Raiders, where Geno might just be done. I expect you to beat the Jets, where they're running in circles and chasing their tail. I expect you to beat Mike McCoy and the Tennessee Titans with very little defense and a rookie quarterback where they have to simplify things because they've thrown too much too soon at the kid. I expect you to beat those teams. Go get me a win against the guy who was here last year, who was a consultant for us, who ended up having to take over our offensive line room. He knows all about you, but you know about him. Go get a win. Go get a win against him. Go find me 3 more. Go prove to me that you can get this team in the right direction. 8-9 is not the best. It's not great, but it's in a much better position than where you were before. At 8-9, you could look at it and say, the right QB can take this team further. A retread right QB can take this team further. If you go and win 3 other games that maybe you're not supposed to, that you're not favored in, a la this weekend, then you could tell, guys, you could tell me maybe that you're the right guy to trust with one of these retreads and we could keep you. Like, these are hopes, but I'm just telling you the truth of where I lay the gauntlet at. Go find me wins that I don't expect you to get. And then let's talk about the future. Because as of right now, beating the Dolphins, now that we've had the 24-hour rule, Kevin said it, I didn't. Now that you had the 24-hour rule, hey, the Dolphins are a terrible team. And I got guys on the radio saying they're a complete embarrassment, and it's an embarrassment to keep people in charge of that football team, Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel. And in so many ways it is. They're a hapless, moribund organization right now. So beating them, not really hanging my hat on that 24 hours later. I celebrated yesterday. We move forward today. And so now you got to go beat other teams that I know you can beat. You got to go give me 3 more, Tone.
Well, not only that, you also have to not lose games you're supposed to lose under this.
True.
Because every NFL team wins one they're not supposed to. Every NFL team loses one they're not supposed to. And, multiple when it comes to that.
Do I say that the Bengals game was already that game? Do I say the Bengals at home was already that game?
A game they lost that they shouldn't have lost.
I can count a Green Bay game going, you shouldn't have won that, and you pulled that out some way, somehow. Can I look at the Bengals and go, you shouldn't have lost that? You really shouldn't have lost that game.
Yeah, I guess the point was that they were underdogs. They were big underdogs in that game.
That's true. I understand what you're saying.
But yeah, they should have won it when you actually watched it play out. Same thing with Minnesota. They should have won that game the way it actually played out.
That's all I'm trying to do. That's all I'm trying to, because I think what I'm telling you, it's an inconvenient truth, but it's the truth nonetheless. Or if you want to tank it out, it can't just be about quarterbacks. It's got to be about a fresh start, which I don't want you rooting against your favorite team, but I can't control how you think. I just know I wouldn't do it. Coming up at 9, Josina Anderson going to join us on the show. Senior NFL insider, Exhibit News Network. 25 years ago, this would have led every show, even on a Monday after the NFL. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima on The Fan. KC Roof.
non-sports collectibles event returns to the Woodside Event Center this Saturday, October 25th. 100 tables packed with Pokemon, Lorcana, Funkos, trading cards, and more. For details, visit GrinnySportsCards.com.
Whenever you need to talk about the Browns, we got you covered. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. It's time for the Neutral Zone. With Rat Boy and the Hawk. Crank it up and rip off the knob.
Rat Boy Hog, good to see you guys again. Week 7 of the NFL season is in the books, and with that...
Ooh, it's the Hog checking in with you! Oink, 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 oink.
What you got, Rat Boy? You got anything?
What does a Rat Boy sound like? Like a witch?
A lot of Browns fans are cackling after their...
You didn't do anything, so I had to do something for you.
A lot of Browns fans were cackling just like that over their win over the Miami Dolphins this week. And I don't mean to keep piling on Mike McDaniel, but he was asked about Tua Tagovailoa's status for this week yesterday.
Yeah, he's going to take the snaps this week, and he's going to be our starter this week. And my expectation is that we don't throw 10 picks.
I mean, it really was 3, but you can just feel the pettiness in his voice right now.
Telling jokes. He's trying to get through it with levity.
Great jokes.
They loved it. They loved the jokes when, his
they did, man.
His coaching career started with a bunch of big performances.
Mr. Cool.
People still say the minute he's out of that job, there will be teams lining up to bring him in
as an
offensive
coordinator,
run their
yeah.
offense.
It's like Stefanski.
Yeah, there's little things there you see. You go back to some of the run plays busted off, like those were schemed up nice. He did a good job with that. Now, I'm not saying he's a dummy. He ain't no dummy. I don't know if he's head football coach material. There's got to be. I mean, that's when you lose the team, you really lose the team.
I mean, is that Josh McDaniels? We're going to be going up against Josh McDaniels this week, and that's one thing everybody says, that guy can scheme up an offense better than anybody.
I had a joke there, but I'm not going to say it because his old man listens. So never mind.
We got some former Cleveland Browns to go through here on this list. The first one being Nick Chubb in last night's Houston Texans loss to the Seattle Seahawks. Chubb, 5 carries, 16 rushing yards, 3.2 average per carry, and a long of 5. Is Chubb washed?
Recuse myself from this conversation.
It looks like it. Unfortunately, it looks like it. I know we got excited when he scored that first touchdown this year, just for Nick Chubb to get into the end zone. Yeah, I think people were happy.
That was a game against Baker, right? On Monday Night Football.
You weren't excited
this
for Nick Chubb?
weekend. My in-laws were
for
over.
his sake, yes, but I didn't want the Browns to look bad after giving him up.
No, you guys just go ahead.
No, go ahead. What were we going to say about
this weekend, my in-laws were over. My father-in-law was like, Nick Chubb is killing it. Like, no, you just saw him that one game on national TV. Have we watched a lot of Houston Texans since then?
No, there's been really not a lot of reason to watch them at all. Their offensive line is terrible.
Actually, hope for their downfall, to be honest with you, for a multitude of reasons.
C.J. Stroud's come back to earth, but is it because the line sucks?
A little bit.
You know,
a lot.
How much of it has to do with that? He's lost all confidence in Chubb. It's just the guy was such a machine. It was 6 yards, 7 yards, 8 yards. The bad runs were good runs. The bad 2-yard runs were amazing. Mm-hmm. And now it looks like it's over. And they said last night, Nick Chubb, year 8. For a running back, year 8 is a lot of years.
Hurts me dearly.
I mean, look at Saquon Barkley this year after his amazing season a year ago. He looks pedestrian this year.
Derrick Henry?
Yeah.
Same deal.
Fumbling a lot earlier. Yeah. Speaking of which, former Cleveland Browns quarterback for a couple of weeks, Kenny Pickett, made his regular season debut this past week against the Kansas City Chiefs, and it went about as well as some Browns fans would have expected it to go.
From Cleveland during the preseason, and he fumbles the snap. It's a fumble, and it's recovered by Kansas City.
Just when you think it can't get worse.
Audio via CBS.
He's wearing the gloves, and he looks like a wide receiver in Wildcat. That's
You're
what he
right.
looked like.
Yeah, you are
he
right.
looked like Hunter Renfrow, getting underneath, okay, we're going to try this down 31-0. I don't pray for his downfall at all.
You just assume.
I'm just waiting for his aunt to send me nasty cuss-up messages or whatever that they were doing. Nick was getting into it with her or something like that, and I got nothing against the guy. I want to see what he does with a full game, and it seems that's coming, anytime now?
Well, will the Browns
see what he does?
Be going up against him on November 23rd, 4:05 CBS?
I think they could.
A non-1 o'clock game.
We have a home 4:25 game coming up later this year. What do you think of that, Tone?
Oh, the Ravens, yeah.
Yeah, put on the coffee.
We have another one here, not a former Cleveland Brown, but a guy who's been balling out so far this year for the Colts, Daniel Jones, giving some pushback to the doubters from earlier this past season, talking with Evan Washburn after the win over the Chargers.
Not that you care, but those of us on the outside, I think, are a little surprised at just how well this team is playing to start the season. What do we need to know about this group that maybe we didn't know going into the year?
I don't know. Sounds like y'all didn't know much, but we're just going to keep going, keep working, and we have a lot of confidence. I think we got a lot of good players, guys who work hard and do the right things.
I mean, I know it's the Giants, but didn't we have 6 years of him on the Giants to otherwise?
Yeah. I had a lot of time to sit there and doubt.
Well, and
even when he was in college, I doubted.
Unlike
Still doubt.
Baker had a season where he was top 10, right? You know, we saw him ranked as high as like 7 the 1 year with the Browns. Daniel Jones did not have a season like that.
Are people claiming Carly Irsay Gordon, the daughter of the late Jim Irsay? She is like the one in. I know that's 3 daughters and they're all part owners of the team, but she's the one in charge.
She's
right?
like the face of it right now. Yeah.
She's wearing headsets on the sideline. It's fine. It's her team. Are people giving her credit for this turnaround?
No. What would
I saw what Florio wrote, and I saw what Florio wrote. Iron Eagle showed, and I'm going, man. You know, I got nothing against you. I got nothing against the Colts or their fans or anything like that. I think 30 of 32 teams, that is a PR disaster.
Yeah.
Could you imagine the reaction if Jerry Jones was wearing a headset on the sidelines? Could you imagine that reaction? It would be nuts. I mean, you already heard Al Davis. At least Al Davis was actually a head coach at one point in the NFL. You heard the reaction when people found out about him calling down, where when they were good, it's legendary. Yeah, I'll give Shane Steichen credit. I thought he got caught just calling plays last year. They've really come into their own.
Do you think there's less criticism right now because she's a female? Do you think that has anything to do with it?
I think it's...
Like, wouldn't they be harsher if it was a male?
Wait, if it was a guy and they were, what are they, 5-1, 6-1? What are they now?
6-1, I believe.
Yeah, they're 6-1. So you're saying if it was a dude, it'd be...
I'm saying why...
They'd be going after her?
Why isn't this getting crushed?
Because they're 6-1.
Yeah,
if they were 1-6... This is the team that hired Jeff Saturday off a television set to be their head coach for a minute. Like, let's be honest. It doesn't matter what gender they are. If they were standing there, if she was standing there at 1-6 with a headset on, people would be losing their mind.
People are being especially nice right now, but yes,
I think people are being especially nice because her father just died, and her father, I mean, there were definitely some skeletons in closets and things like that. I'm not even talking about the story that came out with the Post or anything like that. That's beyond it.
I don't even think the skeletons were in the closet.
I'm talking about. Jim Irsay was still a likable character.
Playing a guitar.
That's exactly the point. Jim Irsay was still a likable character. He was still a likable character. I would send him those Andrew Luck things, and his account would like them. Whether that was him or not,
right?
I don't know. I assume it was. So he was still a likable guy. So I think that a lot of people like Jim Irsay. He passes away. By proxy, you're just going to like his kids. It doesn't matter if it's a he or a she with a headset on. If they were 1-6, people will be ripping it like crazy.
We got one more here. We have the last winless team in the NFL, the Jets head coach Aaron Glenn, talking about the decision to make a starting quarterback this week.
Well, that's something that, I want to continue to look at. Again, it's early on Monday. There's a lot of thought that goes into that. For me personally, and then being able to get with the staff, and then just being able to ask other coaches that have been in a situation, how would they handle that? So the thing is, I want to make sure that I make the right decision, and I don't want to make rash decisions either.
Is Justin Fields' career as a starter over?
Yeah, I think he's still waiting for Chad Pennington to give him a call back. That's why he ain't making no decisions on a Monday. Oh, my God. Oh.
I did say you could make the argument, no interceptions. That's what people are saying for Dylan Gabriel.
I like
Justin Fields has no interceptions this year.
Justin Fields is a backup. And I like Justin Fields coming out of college. You and I defended him. He was wrong.
I just want to see, at this point, like, he's not a quarterback. He's not a starting quarterback. He's not, I don't even want him as a backup quarterback. Can we use his
make him a backup.
Can we use his athleticism and get creative? I feel like a really good coach could find a way, because that guy is really elusive in the open field.
Teams just don't like to seem to do that unless they come out like that from college. Like Travis Hunter, they're going to try it. I know Bo Jackson, we're talking about different sports.
Well, listen, if Terrell Pryor could play receiver 1 year and get 1,000 yards, you're telling me...
On a one-win football team.
But you're telling me there's no way to use Justin Fields? He's a freak athlete. He is a freak.
I know.
Like, I saw Jahmyr Gibbs yesterday look like a freak of all freaks. There's got to be a way Justin Fields could get the ball.
I'm going to go watch that Sugar Bowl throw. That's it for the Neutral Zone with Rat Boy and the Hog.
Coming up next, Josina Anderson, senior NFL insider, Exhibit News Network. She's the insider. She's going to join us. What are the teammates thinking about Dylan Gabriel's play? What is the front office thinking about Dylan Gabriel's play? Is this something that can be sustained? It's Rat Boy. It's the Hog. Take us with you to work on the free Odyssey app. Friends, Ken Carman here.
on the Odyssey app for all today's headline segments. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
You can now watch The Fan live on YouTube. Catch the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima from 6 till 10 a.m. and Afternoon Drive with Nick Wilson and Jonathan Peterlin from 2 to 7 p.m. each and every weekday. It's free. Subscribe to 92.3 The Fan on YouTube.
Tickets.
Your chance to win tickets to see the Wine and Gold at home. Enter the code word LAND, LAND, at 923thefan.com. You have till 10 a.m. your chance to win a pair of tickets to the Cavs home opener against the Bucks this Sunday, October 26th, 6 p.m. at Rocket Arena. You know Jimmy Haslam will certainly be at that game sitting courtside, I would believe. Kenny is one of the owners of the Milwaukee Bucks.
Why wouldn't he be?
Tickets, I'm saying he would. Tickets available at Cavs.com. It's all from the Cavaliers and Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan. I don't know, maybe Josina Anderson would want to come in town to watch our Cavaliers, who are expected to win the Eastern Conference this year, or at least have the most wins in the Eastern Conference. Josina Anderson joins us right now on the hotline. She's had a ton to get off her chest. You've seen her everywhere. She's won Emmys, NABJ awarded journalist, senior NFL insider. Josina, when she puts out a tweet, people react, and so back by constant demand. Josina Anderson joins us on the hotline. How are you?
Well, good morning. First of all, that's quite the intro. I appreciate it. So thank you very much. You guys have had a lot going on in your city.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Josina. First off, boy, I don't even know where to begin, Tone. Do you know anything about the reaction inside the building after Joe Flacco won on Thursday night against the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Yeah, I mean, from the people, from my various conversations, I guess that's the best way to put it, I didn't hear any panic, and that's why I really wasn't surprised that, no change happened immediately, or there wasn't a big emotional response. Obviously, I think that also has been mitigated by the fact that they won against the Dolphins, although that was another win team at the time. And so I have to say I wasn't surprised. I think that, I'm trying to think back to, what was said to me, but I think one of the things is just like, everybody's putting their heads down, trying to get the job done, don't really get emotional over things like that. Obviously, I think to a certain degree, there's an argument to be made for trying to retrieve value for a quarterback that's older, you know what I mean? And how it was looking at the time in Cleveland. On the other hand, is the other argument for how it panned out after Joe Flacco left, and, that illuminating and surfacing questions as to why it didn't look like that when, he was in Cleveland, and it pointing back to some of the questions or things that, I'm raising on my own timeline, or just via social media, which is, I just overall think that, there are fair questions to be asked about just the whole quarterback evaluation process from, the beginning to end. Now, clearly, just when it pertains to Shedeur, Cleveland is the team that actually drafted him. And so, you'll hear that from, people when you talk. It's like, why is this and that? We're the team that drafted him. Da-da-da-da-da. Yes. That is the case, but the other questions come up, relative to, the decisions that have been made since then and how the depth chart has unfolded since then, and what that pertains to and why, if that makes sense.
Now, let the record show, Josina, our guest, who we love to have come on and share her perspective, and she has her insider sources around the NFL and around sports in general. Josina mentioned Shedeur before we did in this segment. In fact, you mentioned him before Dylan Gabriel, the current starter. Are we not being fair in the city to Dillon Gabriel right now, the young starter and the Browns draft pick ahead of Shedeur Sanders?
Well, I would say beyond whether the question is if you guys are being fair, I think the process has been very fair to him relative to how Kevin Stefanski has rolled it out. When you think back to the preseason, the games that he played in, the opportunities he got, with the ones or what have you, the amount of snaps, the time, obviously he's starting now. So the process has been fair to Dillon, and that's great. It should be. But when you ask me if you guys are being fair, I think that, and this is not to take away from Dillon. I don't make a habit of trying to, not be equitable, fair, disrespectful or what have you. So Dillon is a good quarterback from what I can see. I can see why Kevin Stefanski likes him. He's, completed passes. He can operate an offense at the NFL level. I think the question still goes back to exactly what I asked on my timeline, which is Dillon Gabriel the long-term solution for the Cleveland Browns? And when he's on the field over the long term, when you're in games that have adverse situations, challenging situations, you're playing teams that are more elite, is this the quarterback that is going to inspire that, motivation, that confidence, that, aura that, that you want from your quarterback, that kind of rises all boats? And I'm not sure that that's him. That doesn't mean he's not good. That doesn't mean he's not serviceable. That doesn't mean that he's not going to, have a career in the NFL. From what I have seen of Shedeur when he was playing, obviously at Colorado, we haven't seen him play regular season and, in the NFL. From what I have seen, he pertains another level of that factor that I'm talking about that I think would be helpful. But now what I'm concerned about is that even if he were to come in later in the season and at what point, after, kind of everything that has unfolded, what will that even look like for him? And will it be conducive for him while still acknowledging that it is his job? Obviously, that's what you pay for. You're still supposed to, kind of persevere over challenging circumstances. But I think we can still do that while acknowledging that there's more there that he would have to fight through mentally, just in order to have things manifest for him successfully on the field.
Josina Anderson joining us on the show. When do you think we will see Shedeur Sanders?
No idea.
I'm sorry.
No idea. Yeah, I'm just saying no idea.
Oh.
I think, because even somebody said to me in a conversation that, and one of the conversations I was having, they said, in any way that it unfolds now, it's not necessarily great for Kevin Stefanski, right? I mean, so if he comes in and he plays well, then if he doesn't come in and the team is not doing well, just in one of the conversations I was having, there was an acknowledgement of it being kind of I don't know if the word is not a win-win situation, but kind of like a under a hard rock in any of those angles, right? So I don't know. I think that there is some acknowledgement of some of the things that I'm saying that I brought up, relative to how I'm breaking this down on your show. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's still under Kevin Stefanski's thumb for him to, manage the way he's managing it so far. So to answer your question, I don't know, because only Kevin Stefanski can tell you that. But I did say on my Twitter, and I'll say this again on your show, as I said it on my Twitter, I did not appreciate the characterization of his game as being street ball. I think that is completely unfair. I don't think that was right. If you want to say he improvises, which is good, a quarterback should improvise, because guess what? Plays break down after, the ball is snapped. But to characterize it as street ball, I think, is beyond unfair to Shedeur Sanders.
Josina Anderson with us right now. Well, to that terminology, the street ball thing, there's been a lot of what the Shador fans have described as coded language, that they feel like anytime somebody mentions, hey, there's a gap between him and Dylan Gabriel because Shador, the whiteboard stuff that leaked out, in the offseason, or things that have been leaked to national reporters that we assumed had to have been coming from the Browns about why he was fourth on the depth chart, then why he was third, that he couldn't possibly be ready to start a game and it has nothing to do with athletic ability or arm. Well, that leads you to say brain, right? That goes right to the brain. Do you think it is been unfair language how we have talked about Shador Sanders in the lead up to whenever he eventually gets to get on the field?
I wouldn't use the word we because I don't think it's everybody out there. I mean, there's, so I don't think it's like this big collective of people talking about Shador with dog whistles or coded language. I do think that there have been some things that have come out that are worthy of critique or checking, when they come out, just to be cognizant of how those things create a narrative that I do think is unfair because, just looking back at how he performed at Colorado, I mean, he was the quarterback on the other end of those passes to Travis Hunter and, and whoever else that, looked great, that, performed great under pressure with offensive lines that were breaking down, with scenarios that weren't always perfect and keeping us calm and keeping us cool. I mean, and I'm not just saying that as a reporter who hasn't been there. I was at the, pro day, I've watched the games, I've interviewed him in person. So this also comes from those interactions and those observations as well. And so I wouldn't characterize it as a we thing. I just think that some people probably could be more careful, with the language that they're using to describe him, or, have nothing to say when, people point it out, and the fact that it might, just illuminate a little bit of whatever internal bias that they have. The tongue can sometimes, reveal those things when you're speaking. So, but I don't think he deserves that. And I do think that, relative to everything that has transpired, that and when I just see him interviewed in y'all's local locker rooms or whatever, I think that he's maintained a good spirit. Now, we could have a debate as to, whether certain interactions could come across more aware or refined for how it might hit to the masses or whatever. But even still, I don't hold that against, Shador is still early in his 20s. All rookies, all players still have a growth curve to have, especially in their interactions with the media. When I saw that whole thing with the mime and all this other thing, I think that Shador at his core is a kind of a go-lucky person. And I think that's how he thinks of things. Now, in reflection, looking back, relative to all of the steam that was around the situation, it was, maybe do something else just because of how it would be talked about. You could have that conversation, but I didn't see any malice in that. I didn't see any, like it was a direct target on Dylan or anything like that. It was just, you guys are talking about me, so now I'm not going to talk, and I'm just going to be funny about it. And it wasn't, to me, it wasn't that big of a deal. But I will say, in reflection, just as far as the whole process leading up to the draft and, or what have you, are there some things that, in retrospect, that if he had to do the meetings again, would he do differently? Obviously, sure. I think there can be an acknowledgement of that. But I think Kevin has a bigger question and acknowledgement to ask himself. Is the results of his quarterback competition been the most beneficial to his team this season? And I don't believe that the game against the Dolphins is any indication of that. You need to go against a team that's giving a little bit more competition relative to how they're playing now, and have a larger sample size to make that decision.
Josina Anderson joining us from the Exhibit News Network. She's the senior NFL insider. Trade deadline, what's it look like for the Browns?
Oh, geez.
Could David Njoku be gone?
Well, let me say this, because, I was talking to League First this morning, and this is also their perspective, too, that I think that, the Browns should consider, and, could also be a topic for this, topic here, is that, what teams that really give up either they're a good players or kind of have a flea market during the trade deadline truly benefit from it in a way where you can see it either that season or, the next, couple seasons after that. I was just talking to an executive this morning who was just, talking about, and their feelings. That's what bad teams do, so I don't know. Do I think it makes sense for the Browns to give up, the players that are at least the most potent for them now? Probably not. The idea, and I said this on my Twitter to a comment responding to someone who was saying something to me in my comments. I said, the idea is not to be in perpetual evaluation. At some point, it can't be just about getting this pick, getting this draft pick, and we have these draft picks. At some point, it has to be about winning in that season and doing better because the goal obviously is to get in the postseason and to go deep into the postseason and make the Super Bowl. Now, you have done that in Kevin Stefanski's tenure, right? Although, some people that I've talked to will, make points about some of the other people that he had around him on his staff that were helping those times that they were in the postseason. That's a whole nother conversation. And some of those people maybe not being there now, that's other people bringing that up. But the idea is to actually be potent and not just be like, oh, draft picks, and now, and now we're in another 3 years of, hope because we're waiting for these draft picks. I personally subscribe more to the less need philosophy of doing what you can to be winning right now every season. And I do think the fans in Cleveland deserve that.
At Josina Anderson on social media. She is from the Exhibit News Network. She is the senior NFL insider. Josina, thank you so much for your time. We hope to have you on again very soon.
We appreciate it. Have a good show.
Thank you. I almost said you as well. I thought she was going to say day. Josina, thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Josina Anderson from the Exhibit News Network on with us. Talking about the trades, obviously everything going on with Shedeur, Dylan Gabriel as well. If they lose this Sunday, the pressure shifts. I ain't talking about Dylan, and I ain't talking about Kevin. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, your answer in 5 minutes on The Fan. Window Nation.
Just open up your favorite podcast app, search our names, and hit the follow button to get every minute of the show.
Your way and on your time.
All day long.
All day.
All the time.
At work.
923thefan.com and the Odyssey app.
Check it out.
All right, we got something big here. However, let's go Surfsiding first. Surfsiding with the Cavaliers, brought to you by the fine people at Surfside. Tone, we have... Well, I'm sorry. You were going to say something else.
Yeah, first of all, you got doubleheader tonight. National television, NBC and Peacock. Will they play the right version? Because that's been controversial. Anyway, it's going to be weird to have the NBA on a weeknight on NBC. The whole thing's going to be weird.
The NBA on NBC.
And then tomorrow, the Cavs on national television,
They
ESPN?
are on ESPN.
Yes, they are.
And we are going to have on Tim Legler, if you've heard of him.
They call him.
I have a very specific question to ask him. I'm pretty positive I saw him. I just want to ask him on the air.
Yeah, you said you ran into him in Florida.
I didn't run into him. I looked at him from across the aisleway. And I went, that's him. It's absolutely him.
All right, so you got mad at me last year, Owen, when I got mad at Cavs fans for seemingly
because Ken got mad at.
There's a lot of people getting mad at a lot of people.
A lot of people getting mad.
Yeah,
but I
tried to force your NBA basketball, your Western Conference basketball on me.
Well, I was sizing up Oklahoma City, and they ended up going on to win the championship. So I'm not going to say I was validated. I think we all knew Oklahoma City was the best team, but I want Cavs fans to see, where do we fit in. It's one thing to be, in the Eastern Conference, and we measured ourselves against Boston the whole year. Then Boston had the injury, Tatum. They were going to go down 3-1 anyway.
Think October 21st, I need to do that?
No, you don't need to. I was just asking you, do you have either of you have a healthy interest? There's no baseball tonight.
I'm going to watch the NBA tonight. Yes, I have a healthy interest in the NBA.
Okay.
I am more interested in all the things around the game than the game itself.
That too. I want to see everything around it. I want to see the accoutrement.
The 50 people NBC is trotting out for this.
You know who one of them are?
Who?
Fanta.
Oh, I didn't see him in the picture.
He should be.
They had a picture of like 50 people, and I didn't see Fanta in the picture.
You gotta, zoom out. He's standing off to the side.
Fanta's got to be in there.
They had so many people. I'm like, how are they fitting all these voices into basketball on NBC? So it is going to be a different viewing experience all the way around. And then just thinking about the Cavs, because it is the Surfside Cavs update. DeAndre Hunter might be out in the opener.
Okay.
And, it's just another injury that we're wondering about their depth, because they're not going to have Garland. They're not going to have Max Strus.
Guys, and
Hunter's played really well.
Completely unbothered by that. Every challenge, the beginning of the season is about challenging Evan Mobley. That's my goal. Throw more wrenches and more, not long-term wrenches. I don't want him to be hurt like long-term, for crying out loud, or anything like that. But the more wrenches we can throw at him, the better. Get him prepared. That's what this regular season is about. Getting him going. I saw the Jeff Shadell article about Jared Allen saying they're trying to remove the label of being soft once and for all. Well, the regular season, that's meant to develop the callus and toughen you up. So that's what I hope what happens. I don't want anybody to get hurt or anything like that, but the more things that we can throw during the regular season, challenge them to get them out of their comfort zone, I think the better. That's where I stand on that. So no offense to DeAndre Hunter. I'd rather have him healthy than injured. But, hey, let's go ahead and let's just take the proper precautions. The same thing like we played the clip last night on 8 about Kenny Atkinson explaining how he's been fighting Darius Garland in a good way about when he could come back, the proper protocols of when him to come back. Apparently he is way ahead of schedule. He's participating in practice. That's all great. I'm in no hurry to bring back Darius Garland right now. I do not care about Darius Garland in October and November, not even really December. I want to get them going in the second half of the season and get things going the right way and get them all ready the right way. And that means more challenges to Evan Mobley. But I've said that like a broken record.
Yeah.
And that is the Surfside Cavs update, brought to you by the fine folks at Surfside. So this is where I'll lay the gauntlet at. We just had Josina Anderson on, Exhibit News Network, senior NFL insider. And Josina was talking, we asked her about Shedeur, we asked her about the trade deadline, David Njoku. I got to tell you, I do think at 2-5, I'll tell you guys this real quick. I think at 2-5 right now, I think they tap the brakes a little bit on maybe some moves. You go into that bye week, though. You got the bye week coming up. That is 26 is on that Sunday. You're taking on New England. So that means you have about a week left for the trade deadline. I think a lot of guys, and 2 weeks left until the trade deadline, I think some guys could get moved. If you're 2-6, and you guys can roll your eyes all you want and go, when you're 2-6, Ken. Okay, guys, they got to think about it a little bit differently. If they're 2-6, and I need to see, David was out on Sunday, so what is his status? If he's back and healthy, can he be moved? That's going to be a conversation to have. But if you're 2-6, maybe some guys move. If you somehow win that game, again, your schedule opens up considerably.
What do you think they'd go from sellers to...
Not buyers.
Yeah, just
not buyers,
nothing.
just maybe not sellers.
Well,
in
the
that
other thing
sense.
is, I think what the Newsom deal might have taught us is that it might not be all about draft picks. I mean, that trade, they sent a starter away for another starter who's looked pretty good so far. I know his numbers over the last few years have not been good, but he's been good in a Browns uniform so far already off the bat. So that's the only thing you got to remember. We always have the conversations about draft picks. I don't know. Maybe, they're looking about if they were trying to free up space for Harold Fanning.
I understand that. Well, I think that people look at draft picks, one, because I don't think they trust Andrew Berry and they think somebody else is going to be making those picks in the future. Okay, well, I mean, your legend precedes you. Two, let's see how Tyson Campbell plays. I mean, there's a couple media members. I ain't going to name names. Nobody sitting in this room. They're convinced that it is something that is going to rear its ugly head where Tyson Campbell just isn't a good football player, and he's going to show you. Well, I'm telling you right now, so far, so good for Tyson Campbell. Obviously, fish in a barrel on Sunday. He was fantastic in that game, but we'll see how he works out in this defense because he's under contract for a couple of more years. So you could look at guys who maybe are non-fits in a offense or defense for other teams that maybe have some time left on those salaries, on those contracts, that maybe you can make a player swap if you wanted to with some picks. I mean, there's options for you. But I think it just comes down to this game on Sunday because you'll have a bye week and then you got to get ready for the Jets. Okay, well, the Jets is a game that you probably should win, so you should be 3-6 anyway before that, right? Right. Even if you lose. You're 2-5 now. Say after that you should be 3-6. All right, you're not out of it, but you're not in it at 3-6. So you got to make a decision for your future here. What are you doing? Because you got to figure out whether or not you're in or out. I think the Patriots will help you be in or out coming up on Sunday. So the trade deadline is not, I felt a lot of people felt fire sale last week, 2 weeks ago. They traded Joe, they traded Greg, and they still may be fire sale because I think there's a lot of contracts that they can move from. I mean, Ethan Posick is a contract that they can move from. I'd be so sad if Wyatt Teller had to go because I like Wyatt, I like his family.
Does it matter to you, forget just the win or loss aspect of it, does it matter to you if they lose, how they lose? Like if they just get blown out and it looks like they don't belong in the same field as New England?
No.
Because then that would be 2 blowouts in 3 weeks.
I understand that, but no. If they go out and they lose by a field goal against New England, 2-6 is still 2-6. Okay. You got to be pragmatic about this and go, what are we holding on to? Like the old college try effort's only going to go so far. So, again, 2-6, it's going to be tough to come back from. If you have to move on from Posick, if you have to move on from Wyatt, again, I'd hate it, but I can understand it. And, hey, I'll still like Wyatt and his family if he ends up playing for the Houston Texans, something like that. I don't know. I think Shelby Harris is definitely a consideration. I think he is. I'd like to see if they can work something out with Wyatt. And then David Njoku is obviously a consideration as well. So you got 4 names right there that you could possibly be moving on from. And I think that you go back to, was Ethan Posick hurt during the game on Sunday? Owen, was he banged up during the game? Because Luke Whippler worked in. Now, I know he worked in, I think he worked in a little guard, but I got to check with Nathan first.
Well, and didn't they use Whippler in that tight end role too?
I thought they did.
Yeah. He checked in a lot.
Because I wanted to see where he was working in. Because I'm like, well, I don't want to draw conclusions from a football game for that, but because I know they like Luke.
Yeah, they got him on the field a ton because Njoku wasn't out there. So they needed that extra blocker out.
Now, the Zinter situation,
he was not on the field.
At least he's active. Wasn't he active?
Let's step forward.
We're moving forward. We are moving in the right direction. 216-474-0092. Okay, what she said about Dylan. If you go out there, and I think a lot of people are either A, wanting to get very defensive of Dylan, okay, fine. I can't talk you any further. You guys, if you guys want to get all worked up for me telling you the truth about Dylan Gabriel, fine. I guess I'll take your heat. Or they're waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm not even waiting for the other shoe to drop. I think he's gotten a little bit lucky with some of the turnovers that he hasn't committed. Fair. But I think he's a career backup, right? If he goes out there and he looks bad on Sunday, and this is something we'll continue to bring up, I'm not going to beat down the next 3 shows over it, but if he looks bad on Sunday, I just want you to think, I think the focus starts to change, and we won't know. We can only speculate. I think the focus starts to change on his backup and whether or not he's going to be ready. Like, you got 2 weeks to stay, keep your head down, keep going after to get ready for this debut. Because I don't know if he's going to come out November 9th. I mean, I circled it on the calendar. I'm wrong all the time, right? You got 2 weeks there, extra work you can work in there, and then we're going to have to see. Because I don't think it becomes a question of Dylan Gabriel and them wanting to get away from Dylan Gabriel. I think it comes down to the trust of what they have early enough to go to Shedeur Sanders. That's where I think that comes into play. So my focus, if they go out there and they get hammered on Sunday, hopefully they win. We don't have to discuss it. But if they go out there and they get smoked on Sunday, I think my focus, Monday, there's going to be obviously some strong conversation. After that, I have to start to speculate and start hitting the phones about where his backup is. Because it's going to be evaluation time. It's going to be, let's see what you got here. 216-474-0092. You want to get into something else here in a second? Do you want to go over that Wyatt Teller audio again?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Because you could say that's how they should have been playing at the beginning of the season. I don't know if you're capable of it. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, live on the Fan. Classic Chevy and Mentor. Folks, get on.
from Walmart. Based on RootMetrics State of 5G Report United States 1H 2025. Experiences may vary. Not an endorsement of Verizon. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com.
Listen to 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn app.
Got some Wyatt Teller audio I want to play. No, you know what? That makes it sound... I have an interview tomorrow afternoon, and it would make it sound like I didn't want the person. I just hate when my texts don't go through on a Sunday afternoon. Got screwed over because of cell phone service. Thanks a lot. Not going to say who, but thanks a lot. All right, Tone. Or all right, Owen, go ahead and hit it because Tone's got himself a thought on Wyatt Teller and what he said yesterday. Listen closely.
I'm just thankful that Coach, even though like we were talking about, had negative runs, he still was like, no, this is the plan we're gonna have. Unwaveringly, just we're gonna relentlessly just run the ball, and I love it. Feel like that's the formula of success for this team. We have a great defense. Our special teams, great punter, great. We had a couple big plays yesterday where we got the ball out. I mean, it's just. If we can play like that every week now, I don't think we're going to get that many turnovers. And now that there was a bit of luck to that, but it was just like, that's how our team should have been playing from the beginning. And, we had a close, couple close games, but still, that was the win that, I felt that's the way we should have been playing all year.
That's Wyatt Teller in the Monday media availability.
Wait, should we have made a bigger deal of him saying that?
Make a big deal about it right now. You got time to make it a big deal right now. Make it a big damn deal. Go.
Because obviously that's a player on the offense who thinks we've been operating with the wrong attack to start out the year. I mean, he's basically questioning the coaching there, right?
Well, I think he's questioning the game plan to some degree, but also, Wyatt says what he means. So there probably is a little bit of what you're saying in there that's true. Also, I mean, hey, I'm sure it wasn't Kevin Stefanski's idea that Quinshon Judkins would be out for week one.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If Quinshon Judkins were ready to go and able to run week one, would they have used him more? Mm-hmm.
And who did they use? They used
Dylan Sampson.
And he had a nice game.
And he had a fine enough game, but obviously he's not what Quinshon Judkins is. Exactly.
In week one of his career.
If Quinshon Judkins would have had a camp and would have been ready for week one, would he have been used more in week two? You're damn right it's fair. So some of this stuff, it's like, hey, you want to do it, but you're not very capable of doing so.
Now, with that
Your
said,
offensive line around Wyatt Teller, Ethan Posick, and Joel Bitonio is... I'll be nice and say suspect, but you know what I think. So there you go.
Now, with all that said, is it a leap to have a takeaway that I'm about to suggest?
What?
Which is, I wonder if he wonders, had they have run the ball and stayed committed to the run earlier, that Joe Flacco would still be here, still be their quarterback.
I think it's a possibility.
And then things might be different here where they might actually be playing for the playoffs.
I think I don't know about playoffs, but I think that's maybe he's a player I'm not. He might be thinking that. Now, I may disagree and go, we're not being very realistic here, but players aren't known for being realistic. I don't think you really want players to be realistic. I think you want them to lie to themselves. He may feel that way, but go back to my answer I just gave. I mean, you wanted to run the ball. We knew what this team was set up to be. We knew we were going to be transitioning with some of the guys in the offensive line. I didn't think DeJuan Jones would be out for the season so early, but you knew you would be transitioning. And I said before, and they'll still probably, because you got 3 more wins, I think, on this schedule. You should have. That's the challenge to Kevin. Go find me 3 more, and we'll talk. But you had wins on this schedule, and I thought they're going to go back to trying to do what they did in 2020. Run the ball, ball control, get first downs, and it seems that they can do most of that with Quinshon. They can't do everything they did with Nick in his prime, but they can do some of that with Quinshon. But man, you start the season off. You and I all felt so deflated when we had that report come out about Quinshon Judkins, and I know that he's been exonerated over the charges are dropped, but you knew the feeling that you had going, well, this is going to be a major problem for this offense, and now all of a sudden they're behind the 8 ball. Now, I'm impressed that he was able to come back so quickly and be a part of the offense so quickly. I'm impressed by that, but that's a major problem on your hands.
Okay, next, though, in this Steelers game, They couldn't run the football. Now, I challenged them to get more creative.
They stopped trying to run
Right,
the football.
they did.
There's a difference.
But when they did run the ball, it put Dylan Gabriel in 3rd and long, and that ended very poorly.
But look at what they did. That they weren't able to do it. Cincinnati, they ran the ball. They dropped back almost as many times with Joe Flacco, and they ran the ball. They just ran the ball more effectively. Chase Brown got 108 yards on the ground, but he ran it 11 times. Quinshon Judkins ran it 12 times. It was almost the same. By a lot of means, it was almost the same game plan. Now, you could say, well, you don't have Jamar Chase, and you don't have T. Higgins. It should have been the same game plan. Perfectly fair and fine. We don't have those players. But I think that you look at these coaches, and you think that they believe that they know the system to the best chance you have to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. They were going to focus on the run, bottle you up. Joe Flacco was the quarterback of the Cincinnati Bengals. They were going to focus on the run first and see whether or not you were just going to force interceptions by throwing to Jamar Chase and throwing to T. Higgins. The problem is that Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are too good. Jamar Chase is way too good. So you gambled and you lost on that one because it did seem to be that Joe can see the field and did have some magic. Oh, that's on Kevin too. That's on Kevin as well. That's on Joe to a degree, obviously, because he's the quarterback throwing, but that's also on Kevin as well.
So it was great that they were able to run the ball against Miami. That was, coming into the game, I think, the worst rushing defense in the league. They still really had trouble freeing up some holes for Judkins. He had a lot of 1-yard gains, no yard or losses in that game. In fact, the overwhelming majority, that was the way. What is it going to be this week against New England, who prides themselves in stopping the run?
Well, I want to see, Drake May is an early MVP candidate. He also hasn't played that many good defenses.
Right.
So I think this could end, you've been blown out a couple times. It could end up being a bit more of a rock fight than we think. Fair? Now, about this run, this is where I think it could end up being for a lot of fans. There are some people who hold out, and guys, I'm not trying to make you mad with anything I've said about Dylan Gabriel over the last couple of weeks. I don't hate Dylan Gabriel whatsoever. Please go back and listen to the audio before. I'm just trying to tell you the truth, that's all. And sometimes the truth, I try to have a good bedside manner, better than the guy sitting over to my right, but sometimes the truth is tough. I think we could be having a very serious conversation about Dylan Gabriel, because if they're going to stop the run in New England, that means more is going to be on your quarterback. And every time our quarterback has been challenged, he's not answered it. He's not answered it. That's why I say what I say about Dylan Gabriel. Now, it's early in his career. He goes out there and answers it on Sunday. I welcome the calls on Monday from the zealots of Dylan Gabriel. I know you're out there. I would love for that to happen. But he's going to have a hell of a challenge on his hands. We got the podcast coming up, 10:15 Eastern, 92.3 The Fan Extra on the free Odyssey app. I have something to say about the golden era of Ohio State football and what you are enjoying. That's coming up. Do you have anything about for the podcast?
We got a lot of movement in college football, and the coaching searches are just getting started, and it's leading some to wonder whether or not they need to reshape the entire way we do the finances of college football for the coaches.
I think they do, and I think I have a way. And that's coming up at 10:15 Eastern, 92.3 The Fan Extra on the absolutely free Odyssey app. Go back and listen to John Greco and Josina Anderson. They were great. 92.3thefan.com. Albert Breer this afternoon on Afternoon Drive. Have a wonderful day, my friends. And I know they don't play until tomorrow, but go Cavs! Go Cavs!
And making sure that you're not booing, but you clap.
Hey,
sounds good. Where's your entourage now?
Cool, I got on the last show.
Loser town, loser fans, and you guys are a loser show.
This is Bummer Esiason with an Odyssey Sports Minute.